like the part about the medulla oblongata. I don't know what it means, but I love the way it sounds.
Sheenbeard Saga, part number 1. Now we talking Sheen from Jimmy Neutron, or Sheen like he's just greasy and shiny? I guess we'll find out. Now, before we dive into today's story, I have to gush a bit. ReddX read 2 of my stories. Woo! I'm glad to do it, honestly. They were well-written stories, and everybody seemed to get a kick out of it. So yeah, we're back with user Mother of Rain for a little bit more. I just got back to listening to his channel 2 weeks ago after a long break from Neckbeard content. I was completely caught off guard when I heard his voice reading the first one's title. It was surreal to hear my words voiced by the YouTuber. Wow, the YouTuber, whose readings inspired me to write down my first Neckbeard story in the first place. Well, you know, that does my heart well. There's a reason that we're still doing this thing after so many years. Might be a shift in the content a little bit at some point during this year, but the Neckbeard stories will never truly go away. They'll always live in my heart. I also have to quickly clarify on a matter that came up in the video. In my story about Palm, I referred to a prior darker tale written by me, but ReddX noted that my story about Mound wasn't all that dark. Well, of Palm was not actually my second, but my third story. Between the tales of Mound and Palm, there was another. The story of the legbeard Foam. I deleted the post earlier, however, because I got self-conscious about my writing. I might repost it as a ReddX exclusive. If Mr. ReddX finds himself in need of more cringe, I am completely unsatiable. Yes, there is no limit to the cringe. Please, allow me to narrate it for you. Seriously, dude, I don't know how your spine regenerates so fast. If we could just research it, immortality could be within our grasp. Well, you see, I'm actually an eyeless dark gray monster that came from an alternate timeline where Neckbeards took over the universe. That's some of that good old ReddX deep lore, isn't it? It would be an impossible thing to recreate within this timeline. Definitely not worth it, because you gotta let the beards take over. It's complicated. The magic spine is only mine. I'm sorry. Anyway, enough gushing and side stories, I guess. I am now imbued with inspiration once again, and will thusly wrap up a Christmas present suited for you masochistic cringe lovers. Oh, you know me so well. Reinforce your spines before unwrapping, friends, for here comes the first part of the Sheenbeard saga. It always is fun to start a new saga, isn't it? There's so much potential here. Are we dealing with the derpy beard? Are we dealing with the scary beard? You never really can tell. So first we'll get into the cast list. That might give us some clues. Sheenbeard is a guy pushing 20 who was dating my friend Rose. Chubby, weeby guy whose skin was always covered in a disgusting layer of strange, greasy sweat-like substance that reflected light, giving him his namesake, Sheen. Always got nothing to do with Jimmy Neutron. I'm out. He was into martial arts, new age, and living his life as though it was a dime a dozen in a Hollywood film. There's also Rose, of course, sweet, hyper, and loving 17-year-old girl who was still working on finding herself. 17, 20, well, this was Sheenbeard's girlfriend, and it was her first real relationship. She would eventually break up with Sheen after his constant gaslighting drove her to the verge of literal psychosis. There's also Mora, R.O.P. At the time, I had 17 winters under my belt, and was in the middle of my I must help everyone or I'm worthless phase. Yeah, kind of some notes of Unfortunate Saga already. OP, same vibe. Weeby Naruto martial arts neckbeard, yeah, same vibe. OP had met Rosa online 3 years prior to this, and we had become close friends. Well, already the pieces are starting to fall into place, and I don't like the way the puzzle's shaping up, but we'll get into the story and see how it actually goes. So, our tale begins during a summer over 10 years ago. I'd just gotten home from my trip to meet Rose in person for the first time. We held a sleepover that could be fitted seamlessly into any high school chick flick, during which she told me all about her new boyfriend. Unfortunately, I couldn't meet him in person though, as he was driving a truck to another state during my visit. Rose had promised to introduce him to me online as soon as he was back. I laid down my bags and took out my laptop. I booted it up and was happy to see Rose online. I opened up our good old messenger chat and I shot her a message. OP, hey, I made it safely. Super jet lagged though. How are things across the pond? Rose, hey, Sheen just made it back. I want you guys to meet. Do you have the energy? OP, yeah. I think so. I'm tired, I'm not gonna lie, but if we call, I can put my clothes away while we talk. Rose says, awesome, hang on. All right, here we go. OP's surely gonna have her energy drained faster than basically any other activity on the planet. Interacting with a beard, oh, it's hard times. I smiled to myself and started to toss my musty clothes from my luggage into the washer. In a few minutes, my computer sang the song of her people, and I clicked on the green call icon. Rose's excited face appeared on the screen. Rose, Mora, this is my boyfriend, Sheen. Say hi, Sheen. Rose scooted over, giving Sheen enough room to get into the camera frame. The guy blobbed his mass into a chair next to her and leaned toward the camera. His face was riddled with acne scars and fresh, clearly infected spots. His skin was reflecting blue light from Rose's computer screen, like a slimy mushroom might reflect sunlight after an autumn rain. You really paint the picture here, ain't ya? His hair was buzzed down to a 6 a.m. shade, I think to hide his already receding hairline, and he was sporting a silver lip ring that he would lick and suck on during our following conversation. Oh God, that last part skeeves me out more than anything else, honestly. Sheen, hey there, OP. OP, hey, nice to finally meet ya. Rose keeps gushing about you. I hear you like martial arts. Maybe we could compare notes sometime. Sheen, yeah, I dabble. I'm more into meditation. I get these visions and stuff. Bro, we're like 2 sentences in. Could you not? OP asks, visions? Like the future? Sheen, yeah, but my nose always starts bleeding when I do it. Okay, so it's like That's So Raven meets 11 from Stranger Things. OP looks at Rose with an uncertain expression. Is that so? Rose, yeah, he's so cool, isn't he? I don't know if that's the word that I would have chosen. I wasn't sure if this new guy was all that cool. I'd had a few experiences in my life that one could call paranormal, and as such, wasn't against believing that there were people with spookily accurate premonitions or more. But Sheen using this information as an opener? Yeah, that didn't sit right with me. And who could blame me for that? That's sus. Super sus. I took a moment to think on this new revelation, using needing to turn on the washing machine as my excuse to step away for a moment. Rose was not dumb by any means, but she could be naive. She faced so much adversity in her life, I worried that she might be latching on to this guy simply because he was nice to her and gave her lavish gifts. I pressed the start button on the machine and listened to the water gurgling up through the pipes. I'd keep an eye on things, but Rose was clearly enamored with this guy, and dissing on him right out of the gate would hardly be constructive. Look, OP, friends tell friends the truth even when it might hurt, okay? I'm not doing this because I'm jealous of some crazy thing like that. I got no dog in this fight. But the way he introduced himself, the way he looks, the way he acts within the first few minutes, I just don't know about all that. Anyways, I returned to my laptop and we exchanged a few more pleasantries before I felt the long hours on the plane catching up to me, and I announced that my flight to Dreamland was about to take off. And I had to board it post-haste. Despite my worries, I did sleep like a log floating downstream, unaware of its final destination being the paper factory. And there's worse ways to go. Make yourself useful, you know? A few months passed with me getting to know Sheen a bit more through Rose, and eventually he wrote to me one-on-one on occasion. One-on-one-on? Yeah, I did see what you did there, but it didn't bother me none. So, Sheen seemed deluded. in a way that he had become uncomfortably familiar with me because of my freshly ended relationship with Mound. He rambled on and on about his visions and how he had a special destiny in this world. Bro, it's kind of got like some Iowa beard vibes mixed in here. This is really weird. I had just about gathered up enough courage to talk to Rose about my concerns when during one of our calls, she brought up Sheen all by herself. Rose, OP, listen, I really don't feel comfortable with you and Sheen talking. Oh, you gonna play that card, really? OP, what? How come? Rose, I know you wouldn't do anything, but I just feel jealous, okay? Oh yeah, imagine me coming after this dude. Are you high right now? OP, you have absolutely no cause to feel jealous, I promise. I would never do that to you, and he definitely isn't my type. Rose, still, would you do me a favor and not talk to him too often? Bro, are you implying that this was my choice? He's the one that snuck into the DMs. What do you want? I did promise to cut back on my responses to Sheen and leave him rambling to himself for the most part, and Rose seemed content with that. My exam season came up and I couldn't spend much time with my friends, online or otherwise. When I regained my freedom nearly 2 months later, something had changed. Rose was hardly around. Sheen, however, was. He would tell me all sorts of stories about Rose acting insane and unbalanced. He claimed that Rose had violent outbursts during which he needed to subdue her, apparently. She had even stabbed him with a pen to the chest. Is this out of character for Rose? I'm pretty sure this was all part of the aforementioned gaslighting, right? But this did make OP deeply concerned because she didn't know about that gaslighting yet. So I wrote to Rose trying to figure out what was going on. I didn't mention anything about the accusations that Sheen had made about her actions. I wanted her side of things. Rose claimed that she was fine. Things were fine. Everything was fine.
This is fine.
I bit my lip and told Rose that Sheen had implied that things were, a bit less than great. Rose deflected and shut down like a gnome's coin purse, unwilling to continue our chat. A gnome's coin purse? Yeah, alright. Definitely a big sign that all is not well in Roseland. Around this time, I was dealing with some other issues in my life, so despite my worries about Rose's well-being growing, since she wasn't accepting my help and so many others were pushing for my attention and time, I had to let it go for another month or so. Then I got a message from Rose. In a nutshell, it was a copy-paste explanation of how she had chosen to cut off all of her friends and focus only on her family. Yep, cutting off the social support network, that is like maltreatment 101, is it not? I rushed to ask Rose what was going on. She briefly told me, I don't know what's real anymore. I don't want to deal with people and lies, and I just can't. Goodbye, OP. You were a good friend. And that was it. For the next 6 years, I didn't hear a peep from Rose. I felt hurt and abandoned. We'd been close friends for years, but Sheen's entrance into her life had changed that. I had accepted that this was a consequence of a new relationship's honeymoon phase, but this, I really wasn't expecting this. Rose purged her online presence entirely. She effectively disappears, as my friend says, afar into Sahara. I did compare notes with all of our common friends, and we were all left completely lost. We made a few attempts to contact Rose via phone and letters, but each one was decidedly ignored, and she had changed her phone number. Even her local friends were cut off entirely. Bro, this is bad. This is real bad stuff that's going on. But how do you save someone from themselves if they're so clearly unwilling to be saved? Ugh, tangled web. Years later, Rose managed to hunt down one of our common friends who brought us together again. Rose told me her side of things at that point. Sheen had lied to all of her friends about Rose's mental state, made everyone think she was crazy and dangerous. He had isolated her from everyone, and sown seeds of distrust and paranoia into her mind toward everyone but him and her immediate family. Oh yeah, and also she never did poke him in the chest with a pen, although he might have deserved that. Rose apologized to me and our friends for just ghosting us like that. Her and I had a long heart-to-heart, and I chose to forgive her and welcome her back into my life. Rose and I have since continued our friendship where we left off before Sheen entered the picture. We have our grown-up duties now, but we make sure to stay in touch and be there for each other during the darkest of times, and to celebrate important milestones and happy achievements together. I don't know, OP. I think you're a bigger person than me in this case. I have a somewhat unwritten rule about rejecting people before they reject me, and if I've been rejected once, like, why would I open that door again? I guess so you can continue enjoying that friendship, which it seems that you did, so I'm glad for you. I'm trying to think really hard on if I would reopen the door or not. I guess it's really not Rose's fault, you know, she was manipulated. So sure, open the door, come on back in, I'll try and keep you from getting manipulated again. Anyways, Rose and OP laugh about how young we used to be and how old we feel now. Mood. Her family's adopted me as an honorary member, and we have hopes to meet up again in the near future for a big celebration. Rose is happy. She really found herself and is dating a lovely guy who actually treats her right. I couldn't be happier for her. But what about the beard? Well, let's go back in time. Back to the day that Rose said her, luckily temporary, goodbyes. I was sitting at my laptop, fingers hovering over the keys, staring at the words that Rose had left her friends with on the screen. I couldn't do more, at least not for now, but I could reach out to Sheen and ask what the hell was going on. Before I could open the chat window, I heard a little boop announcing that I had a new message, and of course, it was Sheenbeard. He said, Rose broke up with me. I feel like my whole world's crashing down around me. I don't know how to even begin to get through this. Dude, what? What'd you talk about, bro? OP retorts and says, she just blocked all of her friends. What is even happening over there? Sheen, she just broke up with me. I don't know, she's crazy, but she won't let me help her. I could save her from herself, but she won't even let me do that. I have to try and get that PlayStation back somehow, though. Yeah, priorities. I'm so sad, OP. I don't want to live anymore. I just want to end it all. Over the PlayStation or over Rose? I'm a little bit confused right now. Oh yes, he had spoken the magic words. The words that I'd hear from my mother only a few months later. The words that used to make me drop everything for anyone at any time in order to stop them from trying to apply nuclear solutions to problems that are meant to be repaired with a tub of ice cream and a little bit of time. God, I said it before, I say it again. I love the way this OP writes. It's beautiful. Good advice, yes. This is where we will leave the first part of our Sheen saga, and I hope that you enjoyed the tale. I'll write more during the holidays for sure. Oh, and regarding the magic words, well, nowadays, those words put me into, you need professional help. I can get you some numbers, but this is way above my pay grade mode. That's the proper mode. Don't try to be someone's therapist, guys. Well, unless you're like an actual licensed therapist and they are your patient. My point here is, trying to take responsibility for someone else's life in a situation like that is a form of hubris that I do not recommend to anyone. You can and should attempt directing that person to professional help, but under no circumstances should you take their life onto your shoulders. Be a friend. Accompany them to the doctor if they need it, but you are only responsible for one life, and that life is yours. Unless you're a parent with underage kids, in which case this doesn't apply to you. But I digress. Bottom line, don't drown yourself trying to hold somebody else above water. Please, Mother of Rain. P.S. In the first story I wrote, when I said I was too focused on my booze to notice Palm eyeing me, it was a typo of books and not chesticles, ReddX, you perv. Hey, way to call me out at the end there. I'm loving that. You know me, I make it do what it do.
I will defeat you with my medulla oblongata.
Sheenbeard Saga, Part 2. Woe is Sheen! And not the good kind of woe.
Not the party demon kind of woe.
God. Warm greetings to you, dear readers and listeners. It is time to dip our feet back into the cringe pool as we wade forth through the saga of Sheenbeard. Cast list. Sheenbeard, hey! Titular Neckbeard, if you will. A slimy shroom boy who swaddled himself into a small sad sack after Rose set herself free of him. Rose is Sheen's fresh ex-girlfriend. Sweet girl, left in shambles by Sheen's gaslighting and manipulation. Not present in this part, but referred to enough to warrant her a spot in the cast list. Mora, 'tis I, your OP, dealing with her own deep depression and trying to manage the subsequent self-loathing by attempting to help others at the expense of her health. God, that is so on the nose. I don't know how to come to grips with it. Whiff is Sheen's new shiny conquest, an unofficial lady of the night, or semi-professional sugar baby, if you will. At the time of this part, she was retired from that lifestyle in order to date Sheen. So probably, yeah, like a Neckbeard voice for her. That seems like it'll fit. If you missed the previous part, it's just part 1. That link in the description. I think there's even a neat, shiny playlist for you to click through. So let's go! Let's go! Where we last left off, Rose had broken up with Sheen and isolated herself to recover from their disaster of a relationship. Sheen, in turn, decided to run to me for empathy and support. Sheen,
OP, I don't want to live anymore. I just want to end it all.
Okay, here we go. Permanent solutions to temporary problems. That ain't no way to go. So OP says, hey, slow down now. Breakups happen. It's not a reason to go that far. Sheen,
no, you don't get it. She was my world. I can't imagine life without her. I got her a PlayStation and everything too.
Oh, there's the clincher.
I can't believe she would leave me like this.
With no small effort, I bit back on my words about how little I cared for his precious disc-spinning game box and proceeded to figuratively pat him on the back. Disc-spinning game box is so reductive, it's perfect. I love the way this OP writes. I've missed this. Whilst doing this, I attempted to fish for more details on what had happened to Rose. Ultimately, I learned very little. Sheen typed out more half-comprehensible tales about Rose's alleged instability and kept circling back to how his life
had no meaning now.
I mean, I guess admitting the problem is the first step towards finding a solution. Unfortunately, the solution that you might have arrived at is rather dire. I don't want to say he's faking, because maybe he's faking, but it does seem like he's faking, doesn't it? I managed to convince him to take it a week at a time for now, and told him to hit me up if things got too drastic inside of his grease globe. Grease globes by ReddX Industry. Over the month that followed, Sheen and I went on to have more or less that same conversation a few more times. He'd throw dramatics over his itty-bitty broken heart, and I'd do my best to come up with an ever-shrinking list of reasons for him to keep the said 4-chamber flesh pump pumping. Eventually, he started to get back on his feet and needed my support less and less. Well, hey, there's something. It magically worked itself out. Next time, direct him to, like, a licensed therapist, please. I was fine with letting him fade into the background of my life, and I devoted what energy I had toward dealing with the variety of other disasters that I was running damage control on at the time. Maybe I will address the beards starring in those tales sometime in the future. Oh yes, don't promise me more. I need more. I'm insatiable. So good. Sheenbeard bought another PlayStation and life went back to relative normalcy. About a year later, I was working on a school project when I suddenly heard my computer go nuts. Blip, 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 blip. I abandoned my project for the moment and rushed to see what was happening. Had someone been hurt? Oh, it was a message thing. Bloop, 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 whatever. I like it better with the Neckbeard sound effects. The way things were in my life, such a high influx of messages didn't typically herald anything good. I clicked my way to whichever DM application I was using at the time and saw the messages were from Sheenbeard. He had found himself a new lady love and was just over the moon about it.
I wanted to tell you immediately, OP, so you could validate me.
I don't care, bro. Have a nice life. I felt my panic subside, and I did indeed congratulate him. At this point, despite the annoyance that Sheen on occasion inflicted on me with his excessive dramatics, I had taken to being his friend. Yeah, arm's length type of friend, I hope. Keep in mind here that I hadn't heard the truth about how he had treated Rose yet, and I was under the impression that my dear friend had turned into someone unrecognizable, as per Sheen's stories. I do feel kind of bad for Rose that OP's like taking Sheen at his word, not investigating the situation a little further, but I don't know, maybe you felt it wasn't your place or something. Rose is the one who ended up cutting OP out because of Sheen's gaslighting. Oh, it's such a tangled web. Textbook maltreatment situation, I think. So we bonded over our mutual loss of Rose and our quote-unquote shared concern over her well-being. I'll let you speculate for now if Sheen was a master manipulator to fool me, or if he was just so delusional that he actually believed his lies himself. We'll get to that part eventually. For now, let's return to the conversation that Sheenbeard and I had the day he introduced me to his new girlfriend. Sheen,
Bora! OP, I really want you to meet her. When are you free?
Can't this just stay like an online relationship? I can walk away from the screen whenever I want. Meeting up in real life is a bit too much commitment. OP says, I have to finish this project, but what the hell? You can call me. That's the big brain play right there. Then you don't have to meet up in person. Why didn't I ever think of that? So we opened up a video call. Sheen was beaming at the camera with his arm wrapped around a woman who seemed equally pleased to be there. She looked like how I'd come to picture an exaggerated stereotype of a Silicon Valley girl. She was pretty, really dolled up, and adorned in tons of jewelry and accessories. Sheen says,
OP, this is Whiff.
Whiff?
Hello!
We exchanged basic greetings and pleasantries and all that polite getting to know you rhetoric. I don't have the patience for any of this. Whiff seemed to be a decent person, even if some of her moral inclinations were a touch foreign to me. She had apparently spent ample time and many of her boyfriend's money in order to receive some big, with a big G, surgical, with a big G, services. Double G's, what are you doing? The end result was a little comical to me, but who am I to judge? Surgical self-alteration is quite uncommon where I'm from, so I'm hardly an expert on what's supposed to look good and what's too much. I mean, yeah, it depends on the frame and such like this, but let's just call it what it is. It's probably a bit over the top. You're going for that bimbo look, and that's fine. Some dudes are into that, some chicks are into that. But we gotta call a bimbo. So Whiff expressed her desire to befriend me, and I obliged. Because that's how friendship works, you know? We added each other before the fresh lovebirds parted and left me working on my project. The image that Whiff had left on me was mostly positive, but I admit I was a little concerned that she might end up turning Sheen into the biggest boob between the two of them, if she fell back into her old patterns. And I think Sheen would be 100% for it. He doesn't see anything past her looks. He's like 100% okay being manipulated, and that's a bit of karmic justice if you really think about it. I guess we'll see. At least Sheen hadn't bought her a PlayStation yet. Yep, that's the biggest side of love of all. So Whiff and I would exchange occasional messages and calls from time to time while Sheen was driving trucks around for lengthy periods. I became her confidant when the rose-tinted glasses that she had been wearing, both literally and figuratively, could no longer hide the clear crimson shade of the flags that Sheen had started hoisting up. Oh, see, she's clever. She's only a bimbo on the outside, but she's playing the game on the inside. She's a hustler, baby. Whiff told me stories about how Sheenbeard had begun pressuring her for marriage. She had expressed not being ready for that as of yet, but Sheen somehow refused to comprehend this fact and pushed her until, just to make him stop pressing, she agreed into a kinda sorta engagement. Well, that's not the way marriages work, unless it's a political marriage. Things started to escalate for the first time when Sheen took to calling her his wife. Ugh. Whiff would desperately try to make him understand why this made her uncomfortable, and Sheen would keep sweeping her protests to the side as if they were nothing but specks of Cheeto dust within his keyboard. The keyboard of life, and there's only one key on it. Press F to pay your respects. Thank you, comments section. Now, under these circumstances, you'd imagine someone might start considering leaving the partner who has repeatedly crossed boundaries with them. This is normal for those fabled, well-rounded people who have formed healthy attachment styles as children and know their worth. Whiff, unfortunately, was not one of these people.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
During our many talks, I had picked up on the fact that Whiff was quite intelligent, even if very traumatized. She was able to review her experiences and their background in great detail and seemed to grasp what made different people tick. I imagine this had been very useful in her previous line of work. Unfortunately, she had the self-esteem of a woman who needed constant validation from men, plural, and as such, she couldn't turn that knowledge and understanding into courage for standing up for herself or walking away from this situation. After learning as much as I have about her past and overall relationships with the male half of the population, I believe she had what is in English referred to as daddy issues. I mean, it's so common, I'm not even surprised anymore. I went out of my way not to call it out early because I knew it would all come out in the wash eventually, you know? I don't know how I could fix the problem. Maybe I could just be braver about addressing it in the future. Anyway, one night, Sheen was once again trucking along from one state to another, and Whiff and I were in the middle of a heavy dose of girl talk. Whiff,
I think there's something wrong with him. He thinks everything will work out like in a movie all the time. He just keeps pushing me until I give in.
Well, that was charming in 90s rom-coms, and apparently this dude is so media poisoned that he just can't see real life anymore. OP replies, this guy has no grasp on reality, Whiff. Nailed it. I know it. You know it. You can't let him dictate your life for you. You have the right to demand yourself to be heard. If you don't want him to call you his wife and mislead people around you, it's perfectly okay to correct him. Solid advice. Whiff says,
but then we fight about it later and I'm so tired, Mora. I'm scared of being alone. When he's driving, I feel so lost. I hate being alone at home.
Bro, you need to find some self-validation. Nobody's gonna fix that for you. OP says, look, you deserve people. You deserve a family and friends, and I agree with you. He does act like a delusional child. Life is not a Hollywood film. You need to tell him that. If you want to stay with him, he needs to leave Fantasyville and move it back on the reality road. 'Cause you can't sustain a relationship like this. And then the next question becomes, is he capable of moving it back on the reality road? Does he even know where the road is anymore? Whiff says,
I know, but I'm so tired.
And that's when I knew Sheenbeard had done it. He had made Whiff lose her fight. She was completely dependent on him, financially and emotionally. She was trapped. with no place left to go but to him. Sure, I could listen to her and try to validate her feelings, but living on a whole different continent, I had no way of helping her in any practical sense. She had been effectively isolated. Back then, I didn't know about all those strategies that naughty partners would use to make their targets ever more vulnerable. I could see that Whiff had formed an unhealthy dependency on Sheen, but it would be years until it finally dawned on me just how systematic and, above all, relentless he was in forcing his partners to join him in his fantasy world. Yeah, he ain't stupid, he just looks like that. He wouldn't be able to lure multiple people into this trap if he was really so incompetent, and I think that's the scariest part about him. So, to address the earlier question of whether Sheen was just delusional or a dangerous manipulator, the answer is, as Miguel and Tulio said on the road to El Dorado,
Both.
This made Sheen exceptionally difficult for his partners to handle. His delusions made him seem genuine and like he had serious convictions and faith in his dreams, and made it harder for his victims to spot the blatant manipulation that he exercised on them. To be honest, I am to this day not fully convinced that he himself understood just how malevolent his actions were. And he probably still thinks that his actions were part of achieving some greater destiny that he had foreseen. Please seek therapy, bro. This is such a weird way of thinking. Nothing and no one could stop him from single-mindedly pursuing his obsession of getting his picture-perfect way in everything. Not even the most reasonably constructed arguments, enforced with bulletproof logic, and even pleas for some basic human decency. What a disgusting burden on the world's oxygen supply Sheenbeard is. Can't even argue with it. You're just preaching truth right now. Unfortunately for Whiff, she fell deeper under Sheen's demands and compromised on her own wishes over and over until one morning a message dropped into chat. Sheen,
OP, Whiff and I are expecting a baby.
Oh no. Oh no. Anyway, thank y'all for reading/listening to today's story. I hope that you enjoyed it. I know I left it on quite a cliffhanger, but it was the best place to put a pause on the saga until I get the next part out. Should be a lot sooner this time, as the events that follow these ones are carved into my memory far better. Just you wait. Until then, Mother of Rain. Honestly, dude, that is a fate worse than death. Now you're linked to this person for life. You're carrying around his DNA. Oh my god, what a situation to get yourself in, Whiff. Why you done this? She knows her worth. She should have just stuck to that hustler lifestyle. I don't know how Sheenbeard convinced her to stay pinned down like this. God. And OP's being so like vague and cryptic about the next part that I gotta go look what it is. I can't help myself at this point, so we're gonna jump into it right now. Sheenbeard Saga, Part 3. Sheen caught a whiff. Oh, breaks your heart, doesn't it? Oh! Ahoy, cringe crew! Are ye ready to leave the safety of solid land and board this ship, attempting to brave the restless waters that form the vast ocean of delusion? I am. I definitely am. Beware, travelers, for a Sheenbeard lurks beneath the waves, only surfacing to hunt for new prey to subdue and drag into the depths. And so deep does he swim that the rays of reason cannot hope to penetrate the darkness that shrouds him. Trust me, for I've tried more times than I'm proud of. I tried.
Call me Ishmael! Starbuck, it's the great white whale! I'll get you, mommy dick!
Cast list! Yeah, it's the same! Off we yar, mateys! Ho, ho, ho! Oh, yo, ho, ho. Damn it, I Santed the pirate. Pirate Santa's here. In the last part, Sheen had just sent me a message which displayed words that would haunt me for the next few months. Sheen,
Bora, Whiff and I are expecting a baby. Baby. Oh no.
I took a pause. Whiff had been very vocally opposed to ever having children just 2 months prior. Yeah, why don't you just stick with that? That was good. Do that. Did she change her mind, or did Sheen pressure her into this as well? Whiff was not known for being in a great mental state, and, at least according to Sheen, had a strong tendency to deal with it by drinking excessively. How would she manage a pregnancy with her depression? Could she put aside her unhealthy coping mechanisms? Was it really any of my business bringing these concerns up? Then the thought of Sheenbeard as a father crawled its way into my consciousness, and I felt my heart and my stomach switch places. For the sake of the unborn child, yeah, it's definitely your place to bring these concerns up. Whiff can drink to excess, harden her liver all she wants, but as soon as a baby's involved, yeah, somebody's gotta step in on behalf of the child. As terrible a situation as this is, alright? At least give the little guy a fighting chance, for God's sake. Alright, so what would this child learn from a father who believes rock solidly in Hollywood endings and the chosen one narratives? Would he start imposing his fantasy world onto this child? I had no doubt in my mind about that. Whiff could see that he lacked contact with reality and had still been exhausted into submission. What chance could an impressionable child actually have? I took a few deep breaths and slowly managed to convince myself that it was none of my business and there was virtually nothing I could do anyways. I wrote a brief congratulations to Sheen and sat back. I would at least ask Whiff about the sudden change of heart later on. Don't ever allow yourself to convince yourself into non-action, okay? All that is required for evil to prosper is for good men and women to do nothing. I hope the conversation later is deep and involved. So, anyways, later did turn out to be quite a bit later. Life gets in the way, and time zone differences can be hard to navigate, and if I'm being entirely honest with myself and with you all, I was dreading this conversation. I was far from being ready to think about babies and felt downright unfit to have much of an opinion on the situation. Okay, but we can all agree that fetal alcohol syndrome is bad, right? We can agree on that? By the time Whiff and I sat down for a late night video chat, she was very visibly pregnant. Oh man, OP, you might have waited a little bit too long. It's not good. Whiff told me all about the challenges of pregnancy and how much discomfort she was starting to be in. I eventually managed to ask her what had changed her mind about motherhood. Whiff's expression twisted a little before she took a deep breath and began to share. She had indeed been opposed to having children, and that had never changed. Somehow, Sheenbeard had convinced her to get off the pill under the guise of the pill making Whiff more irritable and depressed. Now I know that the pill can impact some women's mood very negatively, but in the case of Whiff, yeah, I still doubt it. And really, it's not up to Sheenbeard anyways. What the hell is this? Whiff had been on the pill for years because of her prior, occupation, and she noticed no such side effects when she had first started on him. Anyway, after getting her off the pill, Sheen had made up some crap about him being totally infertile, and he got her to agree to some unprotected boom boom, saying that the odds of him getting her knocked up were like so low that they would have to bother with rubbers at all. Then at some point, Whiff had started to show symptoms, and there it was. Surprise Pikachu face. Oh no! Sheenbeard had rejoiced and made a big speech about destiny and how this might be his once-in-a-lifetime chance to have a child, thus guilting Whiff into keeping the baby. Nah, you need to get rid of that thing. I'm sorry. Generally, I don't advocate for that, but you know it's gonna be half beard. You just can't do this. At least Sheenbeard fully realizes it probably, is his once-in-a-lifetime chance. Nobody's gonna agree to this voluntarily. Oh, Lord. I had no clue how I managed to keep my eye from visibly twitching. It's not that I think most people share their infertility issues with their friends on the regular, but Sheen was different. He always overshared everything. If there was a challenge in his life that he could milk attention and or pity points with, he would do it. Years later, Sheen would say some things to me, we'll get into that in future parts, that made me certain that his claims about infertility had been exaggerated at best and lies snatched from the wind at worst. Very carefully, I inquired as to whether Whiff had any doubts about the truthfulness of Sheen's words, and again, she grimaced. Whiff,
honestly, yeah, it did occur to me. It's a bit too late to back down now, though.
She laid a hand on her belly. OP says, I guess that's true. Are you happy at least? I mean, is this what you want? Whiff,
I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm doing anymore. I don't want any harm to come to the baby, though.
OP gently, is Sheen still as delusional as before? I don't know how you could say that gently, but I'm just gonna assume OP did. Whiff says,
I wish I could say no, but honestly, it's been worse. Whenever I talk to him about my worries regarding the pregnancy, or parenthood, or the future, he just says, it's gonna be okay, babe. It's nice he wants to comfort me, but...
OP, it would be nice to know that the words come with, like, actual plans on how to handle these potential issues. That's not all just... well, it's okay because I said it's okay. Whiff nodded and shifted uncomfortably. OP, do you think you can protect the kid from his delusions? Whiff,
I'm going to try.
Well, that is some weak language right there. You're already setting yourself up for failure. Yes, I love this child. I will protect him. I can do it or I will die trying. You know? She don't get it yet. Once the kid pops out, once you look in his face, even if he is half-beard, I'm sure he's cute. It was my turn to nod and try for a reassuring smile. It was a relief to see that she was still able to see some shreds of the truth. OP, Whiff, could I ask you a bit more of a pushy question? Whiff says,
yeah.
OP, do you think that staying with him is the right choice for you and the baby? We both know the guy. He might not be full-on malicious, but it's pretty clear that he constantly bulldozes all over your boundaries. How confident are you that you'll be able to hold your ground against him in the future when it comes to safeguarding your baby? It's not really my place to butt in, but listening to you, yeah, I worry. He is going to grind her down. Yes, pull her out. But you can't pull her out if she don't want to be pulled out, you know? Whiff shifted again and seemed to think about it. OP, are you okay? Whiff,
yeah, I just... I really need to pee.
OP, oh, yeah, go. Whiff started to push off her bed. Whiff said,
Mora, I need to think more about this. I've been mulling over something similar a little while now. I got back in touch with my parents, and my mother said similar things to what you just did. I haven't decided anything yet, but I'm thinking. And don't tell Sheenbeard, though, please.
OP, oh, absolutely not. He may be my friend, well, kinda, but I care about you too. More, even. You get to decide what's best for you. I won't hinder that in any way. I don't know much about babies and all this, but if you need a friendly ear or a friendly shoulder, you know where to find me. Then Whiff said urgently,
yeah, I'll be in touch. I really gotta go and talk to you another time, OP. Bye.
The call ended. Sheen was definitely creeping up on her, wasn't he? I turned off the laptop and curled up under my blanket. I was cautiously hopeful for Whiff, but I knew that leaving Sheenbeard would be a challenge for her. Whiff was just not an independent person. When she was alone, she could think clearly, but the second Sheen stepped in, her grievances would disappear. In that last part, I talked about how Sheen had isolated her and continuously pushed her out of her comfort zone so that he could live out his fantasies. I cut Whiff a lot of slack because of the clear issues that she had, but I do think it's fair to admit that she wasn't just a helpless victim through and through. There were a number of reasons for why she put up with Sheenbeard's antics. He provided her with her desired lifestyle as well. Sheen would regularly surprise Whiff with gifts and pay for all her expenses and whims. Sheen fawned over her and showered her with constant attention. Only when Sheen was away for longer periods of time and Whiff felt like her needs were not being met sufficiently would she then complain about Sheen. Ultimately, I think they were both using each other in their own ways. With that being their dynamic, is it really any wonder that the relationship was practically a toxic sludge bucket incarnate? I mean, it's sort of the deal in all relationships, isn't it? It's a two-way street. Sometimes one person gets a much shorter end of the stick. And now, whether she stays with Sheenbeard or not, she's got this attachment for 18 years at least. So yeah, I definitely feel more bad for her, even if she is being provided for. That's fine. I think anybody would take that offer up. So we've been giving Whiff quite a bit of attention in this part. Let's talk about Sheenbeard for a change, shall we? I mentioned earlier that Sheen drove trucks for a living. It's a common job, I hear. But at one point, he also sold vitamins. Hey! I'm 95% sure that these vitamins in question were a part of some classic pyramid scheme. That career ended quite obscurely and suddenly. As for trucking, we never discussed his job much, but he shared his plans for buying a couple of trucks of his own, hiring a new driver, and starting his own business. He was going to do that, quote-unquote, very soon, and make a lot of money. This never happened. Good. He doesn't deserve the success even if he was motivated enough for it. Sheen just could not manage to shake his habit of random impulse purchases and failed to accumulate any savings. And just like the vitamin business, this plan was never mentioned again. There are a couple of other careers that Sheen tried his hand at, and you will hear about them yet. Then we can laugh, or cry together, or bang our heads on a figurative wall in order to forget about the absolutely mind-boggling degree of stupid that fertilized these endeavors. I'm excited. Soup Tube. It's a system of tubes that delivers soup throughout the city. It's a brilliant idea. Give me some money. Startup capital. That ought to be enough for today. My head is spinning with all the repressed memories. It's a bit of an exercise to dig all this up and transfer it to paper in a comprehensible format. Also, you may have noticed that my disdain for Sheenbeard spiked during the end of the last part. This isn't so much due to the events described in the story, but rather the fact that Rose finally opened up to me about some deeper degrees of maltreatment that Sheen had imposed on her. Oh, Jesus. Out of love and respect towards my friend, I will not disclose any of those details here, but I will say this. If at any point in the past I had known about these details, I'd have pointed Sheen towards the nearest rope shop when he was struggling with... However, once this saga is done, I feel the itch to hunt him down and lay at least a few well-chosen words upon his slimy ears. I still have 2 to 3 parts worth of Sheen stories left to write, however, and it is entirely possible that I'll have cooled down by the time we get there, so don't get your hopes up for a freshly explosive ending just yet. Regardless, there will be a part where I finally snap and call him out in a less than sweet way. Next time, A Star is Born. Until then, stay sane. Yeah, we're trying. Signed, Mother of Rain. Hey, that rhymes. Killer story, as always. I'm enjoying this series on another level. He is a complete dirtbag. I cannot wait to see him get his comeuppance, but, you know, it sounds like he's still free and walking around. He's not outright physical with any of his partners, so I don't know. Maybe the best punishment that we can inflict on him is just allowing him to continue to live his completely mediocre life, you know? Sometimes that's all we get, sometimes that's fine. There's one other part of Sheenbeard up right now. I'm probably gonna wait for part number 5 so I can do 4 and 5 together, like we did this video. Sounds like a plan?
Words just sound cool together. It comes from my grand wizard master. I don't know, man. Stuff just comes out and it's entertaining and it's fun.
Sheenbeard Saga, part number 4. If you missed the previous videos, those links down in the description. Also included in the description is a link to my wife's channel. It's totally her birthday. Please go over there, leave comments, let her know just how loved she is, because she 100% deserves it. Thank you so much, guys. A star is born. Yes. So hello, readers and listeners, and welcome back to the Cringe Patch. It is harvest season, and we have a great variety of goods available. Might I interest you in a basket of creeps? Perhaps a bouquet of Kevins? Or a nice sack of involuntary celibates? Oh, I know what you're looking for. The fresh beard hybrid. Yeah, Sheenbeard had managed to fornicate. I won't keep you in unnecessary suspense on that. Whiff safely carried the term and gave birth to a small but healthy baby girl. This expands our usual cast list by at least 1. For better or for worse, I guess. Let's do the cast list. Sheenbeard, a fresh father to a brand new life. If some of you had hoped that sowing his seeds might change him and finally root him in reality, allow me to weed out such hopes from your hearts. God, I love these gardening analogies. This is top tier writing right here. From this part onward, Sheen Airlines is taking off for good, never to touch solid ground again. If he crashes into a mountainside, is that considered solid ground? Can we hope for that? Whiff is a former lady of the night, kinda sorta engaged to Sheen, and also his reluctant baby mama. Up to this point, she has been made completely financially and emotionally dependent on Sheen, and thusly has been unable to leave his sphere of influence. I'm probably not going to continue giving her the Neckbeard voice, because I just feel bad for her, honestly. Peach is the little baby girl, daughter of Sheen and Whiff, a child who really would have deserved much better beginnings into this world, just a sweet and bright-eyed little baby. I mean, it is unfortunate, but the kids are gonna be alright. At least that's what we tell ourselves. There's also Mora, our OP, trying to be a gentle voice of reason to the inhabitants of Sheen's nest, whilst being barely qualified to look after herself. What a tangled web we weave, but we shall delay no longer. The crop awaits. It's harvest time. Our story continues a few months after little Peach was born. I was once again having a video call with Whiff, and while Peach was lunching, we discussed their situation for about the 11th time. In a nutshell, Whiff had reached a point where the constant onslaught of Hollywood fantasies that our slimy fungus puffballed around was becoming suffocating. The spores that had once been able to find a semblance of accepting soil within her could now only land in vast pools of growing disdain. God, it's disgusting, but it's so poetic. This is what I live for. She was ready to renounce him as her, at least as Sheen proclaimed, husband, and flee the Neckbeard nest for good. With praise given towards her newfound strength, I wished her the best of luck, and promised to be around the next time she should require emotional support. We exchanged brief waves and hung up. This would be the last video call that Whiff and I ever had. Dude, that's really ominous, can you not? I just hope she's better off after all that. She actually got up and out, right? Somebody say right. Over the following few turns of the moon, Whiff did start to move her things back into her parents' house. Bless up, hallelujah! For a while, she lived with one foot in her childhood home and the other in the beard nest. The reasoning she gave to Sheen was that she was just very lonely when he was trucking around. As much as I'd like to believe that Whiff had enough of a spine to try and leave Sheen purely for his insanity, I do believe that she ultimately left him because of the lack of attention she got when he was on the road. I mean, it's not the ideal reason, but at least she's up and out, right? Eventually, she did break it off with Sheen officially, and the fertilizer storm that act raised could be smelled all the way in my hometown. That's fine. Throw your little baby man fit. Just know it's over, right? Whiff's not coming back, right? Somebody say right. Sheen, faithful to his habits, ran to me with his stories. I mostly just let him rant as I studied and gave him a few figurative pats on the back every now and again. However, when he started on the whole song and dance of,
I can't believe my wife would do this to me and our child,
I was swift to remind him that Whiff, in fact, was not his wife, and on the contrary, had expressed quite clearly that marriage was not on her list of desires. Sheen would then brush me off and go on to whoa over something else.
I didn't even whoa.
I was glad Whiff had gotten herself and Peach out of that nest. I mean, sure, she wasn't the picture of a perfect person herself, but I had faith in her that Peach could motivate her to turn her life around. You know, I got high hopes for that too. It happened with my mom, it happened with me. Life is all just a big joke, a big party until you have another little human to care for. Then you gotta get it figured out. Fast, quick, in a hurry. Sheen, of course, chased after Whiff relentlessly. He would try all of his old tricks, buying gifts, love bombing, a million promises, begging, of course, and displaying how sad and pathetic he would be without her. Bro, what? This is not gonna work at all.
Look how pathetic I am. Please come back.
He's stupid. I don't doubt that Whiff accepted all the gifts quite readily, but she would still not move back in with him. I don't know if Sheen went as far as procuring her a precious PlayStation, but if he did, not even that mighty offering would win back the favor of his maternity goddess. Maternity god. Oh, it's in quotes. He probably said it. I want to die. I made sure to check in on Whiff every once in a while, but mostly just left her to settle into her new life. Besides, while I was in full agreement on that Sheenbeard was a horrible partner and should be left to learn a lesson or 10,000 about reality, I did not applaud Whiff's decision to milk him for all he was worth in the process. I mean, old habits die hard, I guess. She's back to playing the game, and I gotta tip my hat, not a fedora, to her finesse. OP says, I never shared this approach of hers with Sheen as to not betray her trust, but I did start to encourage him to understand that it was truly over between them and to get his chicken crap together. I don't think anyone should be used like that. Not even the crappiest Neckbeard. I mean, I do tend to agree, excepting some of like the worst beards on the channel, but at that point they've lost their humanity, you know? It's not about trying to finesse them for money at that point, it's all about getting them up against the wall. So you might disagree with me on this, because you are observing these events through my hindsight is 20/20/23 super lenses. But keep in mind that at the time, rather than an evil manipulator, I saw in Sheen a delusional guy who really needed some help. As a matter of fact, I do agree with you on that, OP. The part where I disagree is the fact that you have to be there to fix him. No. We need a qualified and licensed therapist to take care of this dude. Anything else, it's really only gonna get worse. So instead of getting help and becoming a good co-parent, Sheen joined the insanity circus and became a full-time clown. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Yeah, big step up from the part-time work. Now you get circus benefits, like free peanuts. After Sheen realized that he wasn't getting Whiff back, then the custody battle began. Oh my god, dude. Does he really even want the kid? Or is he doing this just to hurt Whiff? Sheen resorted to the same strategy he had used on Rose and her friends. He tried to hunt down any evidence about Whiff being a bad mother and interviewed me on several occasions. I elected to try and keep away from this whole situation, but I still think it impacted Whiff's trust in their common friends, and as a result, we barely spoke to each other. There was no dramatic falling out, just a withering connection that was cut off from any type of nourishment. Whiff had started seeking out new sugar suppliers for herself, and keeping them happy was a time-consuming job. This lifestyle and the varying quality in her string of boyfriends was pretty hard to follow, and I had no neutral advice left to give. I didn't want to criticize her, and instead elected to fade away along with the days of her past. That's a good thing. It's not up to you to fix her either. OP continues saying, "Listen, just like it's been established on ReddX's channel time and time again, it's better to have no D&D than bad D&D. I think I stole that from Crit Crab. Credit where credit is due. This definitely also applies to men, without question. Of course, there are some people out there who disagree with that sentiment. You need to have standards and not be afraid of being alone for some amount of time. Learning to know yourself, it truly is a wonderful journey, and it will help you to choose your future partners with a far greater wisdom. I cannot recommend this enough." I agree 100%. I would also say it applies to women as well, alright? Everybody should be on this journey for self-discovery. But with that brief aside, we will get back to the beardery. So, Sheen was battling for full custody after he realized that Whiff really was not coming back to him. What a petty man, you might think. I do think. If only that was really so. Sheen didn't try to get sole custody just out of sheer spitefulness, although spite definitely played into it. Oh no, he needed sole custody of Peach because Whiff wasn't on board with his dreams. Sheen wanted to make Peach a child model. Yeah, he wanted to live his Hollywood fantasy through his daughter. Bro, this is so weird. I would go back to the spite thing. I think that's less weird. Peach, at under 2 years old, was getting stuffed into garments well unfit for her age, and Sheen was trying to force Whiff into allowing him to parade Peach around pageants and modeling agencies and wherever else he could come up with. At least in this, Whiff didn't drop the ball and stayed firm. 2 years old, bro, come on! Let the kid play with some Play-Doh or something, for God's sake! My skin is crawling, dude. I don't know if it's supposed to be as creepy as it is, but to me, this is really creepy. Anyways, Sheen started to build up his case. He'd tell me stories about Peach coming home from her mother's bruised and would claim that Whiff was hitting their daughter. I had never seen a single picture of any bruises, and trust me, Sheen loves taking pictures. So I think that he just made these tales up to try and get me to provide him with dirt on Whiff. I refused to be his truffle pig, however, and told him that rather than bugging me, he should be discussing these matters with his lawyer. Bro, this OP is just a complete G. You got the right answers for everything. And it's written beautifully. I kind of hope Sheenbeard just never ends. Well, here's where the circus tent gets erected inside a courtroom. For Sheen had decided that the best person to present him in this delicate matter of custody was... Hey, editor. Elijah, can we get some dramatic drum rolling here? Thank you, you do an awesome job. Yeah, he does. So here's the build-up again. Yes, that person was... of course, Sheen himself.
Oh, yeah. It's all coming together.
I wish I could say that I'm shocked. But the Dunning-Kruger effect, it's really real. And now it's walking into court wearing a clip-on tie. So by the time the court date was a week away, Sheen fancied himself a full-fledged lawyer. In his mind, he was so very systematic and sophisticated in the collection and planned presentation of evidence that he started making plans to run his very own business. You have to pass the bar first. I don't know. He would represent all the innocent and downtrodden in court from now on. Yeah, Sheen Brockovich. Look at him go. He'd make the big bucks for sure. All I could really do was bite my tongue and try not to let my eyes roll right out of their sockets. He's such a mess, bro. It's good to have big dreams. I'm all about big dreams, but you need to at least have an outline of a plan for getting there. Dude changes his mind about his future career like every week. And I, of course, didn't get to attend court and observe, but I like picturing Sheen, shiny as ever, sweating in his wrinkly suit, explaining why he makes the perfect parent. You know, like that conspiracy theory guy meme, aliens. Sure, I mean, dude is trucking around the country for days at a time, but he could hire a babysitter to watch Peach. With what money? Well, he'd soon be working in the court of law. And don't you know, Whiff was but a step down from Satan herself, and her parents were even worse. I could picture Sheen prancing around the floor, completely unchecked by any sort of legal advisor, making exaggerated, grand gestures and bold statements. I mean, seriously, dude, I like Phoenix Wright too, but it doesn't make me a legal expert. Objection! Anybody can represent themselves in the court of law. Unsurprisingly, of course, Sheenbeard did not get full custody. Please tell me he didn't even get partial custody. I'm not really over the moon for either of these parents, but there is a clear right choice here. OP elaborates that as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure Sheenbeard's custody time dropped a little bit. You love to see it. The next day, Sheen mumbled to me all kinds of nasty words about the judge and Whiff's lawyer and how he'd show them all what it meant to mess with him. He just needed some more evidence. Yeah, why not start fabricating evidence? Why not get yourself thrown in jail? Go the whole nine. It turns out that messing with Sheen means that he'll whine and moan for a few weeks and then crawl lazily back into his cave to drink beer and fart to entertain himself. And who makes the best beer farts except for refreshing Coors Light? Taste the cringe, not the calories. No legal business was ever started, of course. And all those poor single parents were left without a stellar legal representative. But think of the children, Sheen. Let us take a moment to mourn this Herculean loss. 0-0, just like that. Oh, it's so good. This is just ambrosia. A couple of months later, Sheen said he could no longer afford to keep living in the apartment that he and Whiff had cohabitated in before, and he started to essentially couch surf in all of his friends' houses. And at this point, never ever had I been so glad to live an ocean away. Honestly, I think Sheen managed to only keep partial custody of Peach through all of this because it was more convenient for Whiff to have Peach with Sheen from time to time. Like I said, neither of them are angels. I just hope that kid's okay, man. It was in this way that Whiff could give occasional extra attention to whichever sugar daddy she was entertaining that night. It's rough. It is at this point where I reluctantly made the decision to stay in touch with Sheen. Despite the constant headaches that he inflicted on me, someone had to try and look out for little Peach, at least a little bit. My relief at that aforementioned being an ocean away soon turned into frustration over how powerless I was to actually help Peach, through any means other than trying to beat some sense into her crazy fart father. I dare you say fart father as fast as you can 3 times in a row. Fart father, fart father, fart father. I think I messed it up. This truly is a labor not dissimilar to attempting to grow lily pads in the middle of a desert. Sooner or later, you'll just start to question your sanity as you watch for the 97th time how all of the water you poured onto those yellowing leaves filters through the sand and disappeared, as though no cool water had ever kissed those dusty grains to begin with. Oh, you're really painting a picture. I think that I will end this part here. The further we go, the more Sheenbeard's Kevin is starting to show, don't you think? Perhaps the hybrid you were looking for was Sheen, after all. Next time you'll hear about things like Sheen's crazy priorities, his female type, and his short rapper career. Oh no, not that, anything but that. I'll be digging through some chat history as well to see what absolute nonsense I have buried out of reach of my memory. Wish me patience, everyone, because it will be needed. Stay well and be safe, and until the next time, Mother of Rain. I mean, I wasn't there for any of this. I'm judging it all through a Reddit post, but it feels to me like Sheen really was doing this to hurt Whiff. And then as a sideline, he's like, maybe I no longer have to work if I can get my daughter to be a world famous model. This 2-year-old in a swimsuit. God, I hate it. I'm not going to say the kid doesn't stand a chance because, you know, kids are flexible. They totally can do amazing things. But with these two for parents, Peach is starting a few miles behind, man. You hate to see it. Honestly, I'm curious about Kevin's rapper career, so I think I'm going to roll into the next part. And let's get it wrapped up right now. Sheenbeard Saga, Part 5. Things get ugly. I mean, uglier. What kind of concoction do you think would occur if you toss 2 beards into a huge cauldron? I mean, we actually know here at ReddX Industries, but those files are sealed. A lot of people could go to jail over that one. I had been watching it bubble over the fire for years now, and I still don't know quite what to call it. Sludge? Runny mush? Liquefied depression? What I do know is that I find sharing this dish with all of you is very therapeutic. Perhaps we could get some cheesecake after. Oh, hell yeah, I want the blueberries. It'll never repair the hole that was left in my heart from this saga, but at least we can fill it up for a little while. And here's the ingredients. I have to read all these cast lists. They're hilarious and different each time. So, Sheen, I think the best food item to describe Sheen with is a rotting mushroom. Have you ever seen them? They shrivel up into dark brown or black, wet goop. We could call them a Sheen take mushroom. Alternatively, we could go with a gross pity parsnip, but I think Sheen's shroom status has gotten too cemented in those previous parts. Whiff? Well, she's best likened to a bunch of grapes in this part, because everyone gets a bite. Peach is Little Peach, and she's just a peach. Cute and soft and sweet, really nothing to change here. Mora is a singular coffee bean. ROP just trying her best to be enough. Let me reassure you that you are 100% enough. And just be enough for yourself. You don't have to be enough for yourself and everybody else. 3 words. Scrape them off. Also, I should mention, if you watch this far, you're probably enjoying the content a little bit, right? Why not subscribe to ReddX if you haven't already? Thanks so much. Let's grab a ladle. We'll get stirring some of this delicious beard stew. So in the previous part, we visited a family court and saw how Sheen's application for full custody over Peach was unceremoniously rejected. Soon after this tragicomic circus number, Sheen ended up couch surfing for a few months as he attempted to gather more funds and evidence for another legal battle. He was very secretive regarding his whereabouts and used P.O. boxes to receive his mail. I wouldn't normally care about his address, but due to my annual habit of sending all my friends some small Christmas cards and treats, I ended up asking where I should ship his. Yes, even the beardy kids used to get something nice from Santa Rain. I already knew you're one of the good ones, OP, but that cements it. Sheen responded to my inquiry with a full-on tangent. I got an earful and then some on why I shouldn't share his location with Whiff. Finally, after having to raise my voice a little, I managed to cut him off and call out his lecture as highly unnecessary. I told him that I vehemently wished to stay out of any pettiness between him and Whiff, and I would share nothing that one of them said with the other. And you get one guess as to whether Sheen respected this humble boundary, or boarded his trusty bulldozer and started ramming against it. If I was a betting man, that is easy money right there. Naturally, he neglected my wishes and tried to pressure me into helping him gather evidence against Whiff, anything that would prove her an unfit mother. In one instance, Sheen pushed for confirmation on that bruise on Peach's knee. Was it intentionally inflicted onto her by Whiff's mother? He demanded that I send him any screenshots of my chat history with Whiff from the past week. I spelled out to Sheen that I would not supply him with any such material, and that, as a matter of fact, the whole bruise thing was never even mentioned to me. Sheen kept insisting and even lowered himself to accusing me of not caring for Peach's well-being. I'll be real with you, bro. Peach is the only reason we're friends right now. If Whiff is an unfit mother, then you're like a double plus super unfit father, okay? And OP does. OP finally snaps at this bulldozing blockhead. OP with a cold, venomous tone. Listen, Sheenbeard, I care for Peach's safety far more than I do for your or Whiff's hurt feelings. Peach is really all that matters here. However, I will not humiliate Whiff or break her trust to humor you with screenshots, especially when I know for a fact that there's nothing in those exchanges that would incriminate her or her mother of any wrongdoing. I will not be used by you to make Whiff feel betrayed and alone. So stop with the emotional manipulation attempts. It's not working. It's good. It's beautiful. You love to see it, honestly. Being a child of a very messy divorce myself, I felt very strongly for Peach in this situation. I was not about to let either Whiff or Sheen get accustomed to using other people as their proxies and hurting each other. I would not let that become their daughter's future. I deliver rage-laced preachings to Sheenbeard, however, as many times as it would take to drill some sense into his shroom cap. Sigh. Wish I were rich enough for a diamond-coated titanium drill head. It's never gonna work. He's denser than a dying star. But I really do admire you trying to stick up and help out the children of divorce. I think a lot of us have been through that, and very rarely is it enjoyable for anybody. Sheen just stewed in his disappointment at my unwillingness to cooperate, like an overcooked parsnip, but he had no more ammo left to fire at me. He skulked back to his lair and sulked for a few days. Blessed peace! Still, despite my efforts to stay neutral in the conflict between these bitter exes, Whiff and I fell out of touch around this time. Maybe Sheen had told her stories about me being against her, or perhaps I was just a reminder of those bad times of her life. Whatever the reason might have been, from here on out, the details regarding her actions were obtained through Sheenbeard. An unreliable narrator at best. Everything that he shared could be true, everything could be false, maybe some mix. We'll never really know. Just try to keep the source in mind. So what you're telling me right there is don't believe anything further that is said about Whiff. She and Peach are doing fine, and Sheenbeard's out here just trying to throw a monkey wrench into everything. That's my headcanon. Go! Eventually, Sheen managed to land himself a small apartment and kept working as a trucker. Speaking of trucking, at long last I listened to ReddX read the full Chris Trucker series. Oh my god, lucky you. The deepest cringe. And it got me thinking, what if Whiff used to be a lot lizard once upon a time? Picture it. Sicily, 1912. A white, shining truck pulls over at a dimly lit lot. Sheenbeard swings open the truck door, his greased basketball face reflecting the moonlight with brilliance. Just another brilliant Chris Trucker writing. This is the crossover that I lived for. He steps down from the truck and looks around. Their eyes meet. It's love at first sight, a moment of pure destiny. Sheen strides over to Milady and bows, requesting her name. She fans her blushing face and swoons right into Sheenbeard's pudgy arms. He sweeps her off her beardy legs and carries her to the truck. And they lived happily ever after. Right until the gaslighting, manipulation, and maltreatment got to be too much anyway. And this is now my headcanon, and I'm sticking to it. Mine too, honestly. I think even as far back as Pajama Beard, that was just a really young Chris Trucker. Before he was Chris Trucker, he was Chris Campervan. And he loved to stay in those California woods. That took place in California, didn't it? Bro, it's all coming together. I'm freaking out right now. Where was I? Oh yeah, right. Sheenbeard. He had found himself a permanent abode. Of course, being a trucker, he spent considerable time on the road. Did he kindly let Peach stay with her mother during those long hours? Does a giant toad feel any pang of guilt as it swallows a mouse whole? Of course not. Sheen went ahead and hired a babysitter. Oh, the drama that followed. She narrated me tale after tale about how Whiff went after each babysitter he hired, bad-mouthing them and even hunting down their children to create looming threats onto their wonderful mothers. I think Sheen ended up dating or sleeping with like maybe 3 of these babysitters. So he says. What he really means is he watched an adult video with that plot line. I refuse to believe Sheen is luring this many people in. Each one of these women was somehow depressed or otherwise mentally unstable, and the stories flowed like milk and honey in the promised land. Fortunately for me, perhaps unfortunately for you, I have forgotten almost all of those tales. I do, however, recall my reaction to lady number 2. OP says, "For goodness sake, Sheenbeard, you shouldn't keep betting every unstable woman that you cross paths with. Reel it in with the savior complex. And while we're at it, you cannot keep hiring them as your daughter's babysitters. Leaving a woman who you claim is downright water slidial, original word change, duh. Oh, you're talking about sliding down the sewer. Gotcha. Alone with your baby? What the hell were you thinking?" Sheen,
I know. I'm weak. I can't help myself. Besides, I can save...
OP, look, I don't want to hear it. Peach should be your first priority. Your only priority. Stop chasing skirts and rainbows and start being a responsible father. He needs to hear it. He won't listen, but he does need to hear it. Sheen, of course, didn't stop chasing either skirts or rainbows. Whiff expressed her dismay at the unstable individuals which were chosen time and time again. It's what you get for babysitter ads on Craigslist, isn't it? Sheen claimed that she even chased after one of them on the street one time. It's hard to picture Whiff running particularly effectively with her gear, but Sheen's story needed some extra drama, I suppose. No, the Boondocks taught us all about this one.
Can she run really fast in high heels?
It's ironic to me that OP doesn't believe the last part, because that's the only part that I do believe. Sheen's pettiness came to a head when he managed to pull off the ultimate getting back at your ex move. He slept with someone who Whiff hated. Said individual was Whiff's ex-friend, who backstabbed her in a manner that I can no longer recall, and they ended up on extremely bad terms. I mean, if you dislike both of them so much, why are you even keeping tabs on them at all? Just put your poker face on, be like, good, I'm glad for you. Have fun! Sheen came across this woman and claimed to me that once again,
he was just so weak, and he couldn't stop himself from taking her home with him.
Naturally, this lady ended up being the babysitter number 3, and this enraged Whiff enough for her to step in and try and get this woman away from her child. Oh, now it's all falling into place. Yeah, that's sort of an unavoidable circumstances. A person who hates me is looking after my DNA. This will not end well. Anyway, OP tells Sheen to take a serious look at his moral compass and asked himself if he felt that it was calibrated in a way that he could live with. Calibrated? I don't even think he knows where he put that moral compass. It's behind the couch somewhere when we were banging babysitter number 8. Sheenbeard then cried to me about how Whiff had taken on a job at a gentleman's club,
and she boinked hundreds of guys over there for money.
He went on to whine.
Why is it that when she does it, people say she's just trying to survive? But I screw one person that wants a friend with benefits and to help me with my daughter, and I'm a total piece of crap?
Bro, I don't even know why I gotta explain the difference to you. Honestly, I took a deep breath and tried to swallow my outrage at the embodiment of idiocy that I was faced with. While I wasn't supporting Whiff's choice of careers one bit, Sheen had gone out of his way to hurt Whiff by bringing a person that she deeply distrusted into their daughter's life. Not even Sheen could be a moron of such proportions, right? Somebody say right. I breathed in again, and after emptying my lungs, I calmly stated, OP, if your moral compass cannot guide you to not leave your daughter in the hands of your ex's tormentor, no lecture that I can give you will help. I can't play your conscience. Sheen,
Whiff was scaring all my babysitters. She stalked them. I need to work. I can't do that without a bait.
OP, so you figured that it would be best to bang someone who already backstabbed her and even actively hates her? You tried to play this too many different ways already. Stop trying to make what you did sound okay. You're either enabling a vindictive woman to hurt the mother of your child, or you're using her to get back at Whiff. Either you're weak and stupid, or you're a cruel a-hole. Your options don't look very heroic. Think about what you're doing and why. And get a babysitter who's of sound mind, for God's sakes. I'm going to sleep. Bye. Oh, how I wish that could have been goodbye forever. That night, I dreamt of slapping Sheenbeard across his stupid, grease-covered face. Maybe if I did it hard enough and somehow got famous, then he could live out his Hollywood dream as a Walk of Fame handprint plate. The weirdest part to me is he just expects all that to fall into his lap. Has he ever taken an acting job, or he's just like, somebody will find me someday? It's not how it works. You gotta chase, son. Not that I really believe in your talent, but you seem to, so get out there and try. On to the next moronic thing. I mentioned at the end of part 3 of the saga that Sheen was not great with financial decision making. Oh boy, did that only escalate after Whiff had left him. One morning I woke up to see a flood of messages on my computer. Sheen had gone ahead and bought his 2-year-old daughter 2 pairs of diamond earrings and a diamond-encrusted necklace. Brand products. Naturally, normal earrings and necklaces would be far too large for little Peach, so Sheen got her what I last night estimated to have been like $600 to $800 worth of baby-sized bling. So ludicrous, dude. You know how they say you shouldn't spend too much money on brand new clothes for your babies because they outgrow them so fast? Well, yeah, jewelry like this is really no different. Peach would outgrow all of this jewelry within a couple of years. I knew that Sheen was struggling with money, so I asked him about it once again. You can't fix him, OP. Pry his jaws open, dump as much truth as you want in there. It just doesn't stick. Goes right through him. OP says, what were you thinking, Sheen?
I didn't have a lot of luxury as a kid, and I want my child to have everything.
Well, how about you save it for college or something like that? What am I gonna do with a baby toe ring? I pinched the bridge of my nose and fought back a headache that threatened to take over. OP, I understand you want the best for your daughter, but Sheen, your baby girl won't appreciate diamond earrings any more than she would a pair of plastic clip earrings. Diamonds for babies? It's like pearls for pigs. Seriously, you're short on money. She has actual needs. Clothes, shelter, and this little thing called food. See to it that the basic necessities are met, Sheen. Save your money and buy her fancy stuff when she's 16 or something. She'll appreciate it far more then. She can't even enjoy this jewelry that you bought when she's older. Please return those things and make sure that she is fed and clothed and safe. Best advice. I mean, OP said I can't play your conscience, but here you are. Just one more time. Last time for reals this time. Sheen mumbled and complained at me for an hour, but ultimately agreed to return one pair of the earrings and the necklace. Okay, a small win for sensibility. He sent me pictures from the jewelers when he said goodbye to his beloved baby bling, accompanied by a squadron of crying emojis. I'm not opposed to spoiling your baby with something special now and again, but that only works if you have the extra money to splurge, guys. And even then, kids don't appreciate it. My son, he got so many toys. You know what his favorite toy is? This stretchy plastic tube that we found on the ground. He wants to play with a piece of trash. Needless to say, Sheenbeard definitely did not have money for this type of things. He had just managed to get a roof back over his head, for God's sake. Concerned by Sheenbeard's irresponsibility, I opted to alter my Christmas present plans. I managed to find a good selection of small children's clothes for a nice discount, and I bought a few dresses of different sizes for Peach. Simple, easy to wash dresses that could be worn for playing outside or for sleeping alike. As a poor student, I couldn't afford much, but at least the girl would have some clothing in which she could be an actual toddler, and not some Fantasyland doll sitting on a shelf. What do you want to bet he complains about the presents at some point? After making my purchases and addressing them straight to Sheenbeard's P.O. box, I leaned back in my chair and sighed heavily. I was exhausted. The first snow had fallen a couple of weeks prior, and I knew I'd have to lecture Sheen on many, many more things before the last of it would melt for the summer. Would my brain melt alongside the snow? I hoped not, but the aching behind my eyes suggested otherwise. I can't say it enough. Too beautifully written. I couldn't do this on the daily. I was thousands of kilometers away from Sheen and Peach, and barely a young adult myself. I could not parent both of them. Heck, I couldn't and shouldn't parent either one of them. But the truth is, I couldn't leave a little girl alone with an irresponsible mother and a complete imbecile for a father. Sheen would hopefully grow into this role somehow, but for now I would help. You're too good to him, OP. He doesn't deserve a friend like you, I'll say that much. So thank you all for joining me on this part. I know I promised you some rapper career Sheenanigans, TM. Sheenanigans! Why didn't I think of that? Props to my friend for coming up with that one. That's big brain. This part is getting awfully long though, so I think I'll leave the rapper thing in for the next one. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. Let's all do our best in our day today. Signed, Mother of Rain. Man, you lured me in with the rapper thing. The next one's not even posted yet, so I don't have the option of going to chase it down, but you can look forward to it in the next video. I'm still of the mind that Sheen is an absolute mess. You might spin the earrings and the necklace as like, oh, he really cares for his daughter. But personally, I think he only bought those things because they're a reflection on him, right? Yeah, I bought baby bling. Look at me balling out. Like, bro, you not? Please stop. Buy the kid some diapers or something, for God's sake. I don't know, man. There's a lot to unpack, but we'll keep the trash fire rolling sooner rather than later.
The run I was on made Sinatra, Flynn, Jagger, Richards, all of them just look like, you know, droopy-eyed, armless children.
Sheenbeard Saga, Part 6. Well, welcome back, Sheen! I mean, not welcome, but I guess you're here now, so let's get into it. Picture perfect Sheen. Ahoy, cringe crew! Sorry it took so long to get this part out. For a while, the world has had me feeling like a pair of legs that your mother, in her infinite wisdom, bought for you, 2 sizes too small. I mean, it's the thought that counts, right? She forgot I got these thick boy thighs. Because it's perfectly reasonable to assume that your rear end remains as flat as a declined credit card all the way from your mid-teens into your late 20s. In other words, I was just stretched too thin. My mind and body are both grateful for the rest that I got, but I can't let those cringe muscles atrophy any longer. Let's do a small warm-up and a few stretches with the familiar cast list. And OP actually did reach out to me on Discord. I appreciate that so very much. Sometimes I don't know when sagas are over. I gotta make an executive decision like I did with the Burger Beard saga. It's been like a year or more. We're good. If another part comes, we can recompile it. That's fine. But yes, the cast list. Sheenbeard. Yeah, you know him, I guess. Since our theme this time seems to be around exercise, it is impossible to not liken Sheen to a dumbbell. Oh yeah, that's apt. Besides the obvious connection between the aforementioned doodad's name and Sheen's glaring lack of any perceivable intelligence, Sheen also is very heavy to carry through this game of life. Unlike the dumbbell, however, he takes up an unreasonable amount of storage space, is a health hazard to anyone in the near vicinity, even when he isn't dropped on someone's foot, and yeah, he drools all over himself. Suffice it to say, he is a mess in general. Peach is Sheenbeard's baby daughter, and really the only reason that I put up with Sheen's presence in my life. She's like that scoop of ice cream that motivates you to do one more sit-up after your muscles have already quit on you. I don't even need the ice cream, honestly. Let me tell you something, nothing tastes as good as being skinny feels, okay? Mora is, of course, ROP, a pair of arm floats meant for children being used by far too many grown-up people all at once. Yeah, and they got a picture of Tweety Bird on them, too. I don't know how that's relevant, I just thought I should mention it. Maybe it'll add some levity to all those people drowning. Okay, so are we ready? And lift! You got this, bro. Come on, you got this, bro. Bro, you got this. So I spent some of my Christmas budget on buying little Peach some much needed casual clothing because her delusionally decomposed dad would rather provide his toddler with diamonds than the daily essentials. That's so pathetic. Child service is gonna come snatch that kid up, and do you think she'll be sad to lose the diamonds, or you think she'll be happy that she actually gets to eat now? So I know the dresses got worn because they were present in a couple of photos that Sheen spammed me with during his "I'm gonna be a professional photographer" phase. His prized subject, of course, was his daughter. Aw, that's so sweet, you might think, and I would agree with you, except he... You know what? I think we need to ease into the cringe here. Oh, that's bad. That's real bad, OP. Maybe don't tell me, that's real bad. It has been a while after all, and nobody should kick off with a full sprint on a treadmill. Easy does it. From mildly annoying to, quite frankly, disturbing. Oh my god. Please not like this. All right. Many first-time parents go a bit, oh, look at my baby. Isn't my offspring just amazing? Kind of crazy. And they'll send photos and videos to their friends and family, gushing over how little Timmy managed to not eat more than half a crayon today. And what a genius he's proving to be.
Do you sometimes have the urge to eat crayons? No.
Oh yeah, I do.
The rest of us might not be quite as charmed, but that is fine. I'm happy when a child is getting love and positive attention from their kinship. Sheenbeard, however, had this annoying habit of sending me myriads of pictures without a single word attached to them. Then he would get all indignant when my mind-reading skills were out of commission and I failed to guess their obvious context. Truth be told, Sheen still holds on to this habit, like a junk food addict holds on to the belief that the single wilted piece of lettuce between his latest Big Mac somehow counts as a salad. Or that a salad counts as a salad when you drown it in ranch. But boy, does it taste good! I think that Sheen's insistence over the fact that others should know what he means or thinks without so much as a half-passable attempt at communication is probably connected to his inability to partake in any sort of reality. He's like a child before it develops the ability to comprehend that other people are separate entities and that their feelings and knowledge are not derived from his own oily orifices. We're doing good with the alliteration today. And all this is, of course, not to even mention that we do continue to exist and carry out our lives beyond his immediate field of perception. So just like no sense of object permanence, I'm surprised Sheen puts his money in a bank because he's like, if I can't see it, it's not really there. He real dumb. And this, of course, could also go on to explain why in the past 10 plus years, he has been comically incapable of grasping the fact that our geographical locations place us on nearly opposite time zones. No matter how many times I remind him of this, he cannot seem to retain this information for longer than a day. Perhaps if we were able to dissect Sheenbeard's head, we'd find a lone goldfish swimming upside down in a rhinestone-encrusted fishbowl that's only half full of extremely cheap beer. Which brings us to today's sponsor, Coors Light. Whoa! I love that. You're really painting the picture. I am sort of concerned that he might actually have something wrong upstairs, but as of yet, it's unconfirmed, I guess. And if that's the case, he definitely shouldn't have that child. Can somebody come and take that child? Not something I usually advocate, unless they're being raised by Kevin Neckbeard hybrids. So speaking of fish, Sheen, of course, kept constantly angling for compliments on his almost artistic photography. Almost artistic? That means you replace the R with a U? Maybe he is on the spectrum. I don't know, man. We'll read on and see. He went over the usual phase of using black and white filters, but then he revolutionized the medium by allowing random pieces of the picture to remain colorized. Oh my God, you're blowing my mind here. Let me tell you, the photo manipulation executed clearly matched the effort that he put into his personal hygiene. And after I realized that his main reason for sharing the photos was not to gush about his daughter, but to get praise for his skills, I then changed gears. Instead of calling the photos themselves nice, I firmly stuck to saying things like, Peach looks happy, that's good, or she seems to grow so quickly, and refused to acknowledge his attempts at baiting me into imparting undue praise upon him. Unsurprisingly, this cut back the number of photos that I received in the future, which I cannot claim had left me too crestfallen. Yeah, the less we communicate, the better. If you could just send me one picture of the child holding a newspaper on the 1st of every month, just to prove she's alive, that'll be enough for me. I'll say, oh good, I don't have to call the cops yet. And now we're on to the disturbing bits, where I might have to call the cops. Or put the boots to him, or put him up against the wall. I guess we'll have to see. So, despite being denied the right to turn Peach into a child model, Sheenbeard created an Instagram for her. Oh no. I hold a distaste towards social media like this, and so I never visited the page. Whiff, Peach's legbeardy mother, forced Sheen to shut it down after finding out about its existence. We could discuss the sheer stupidity of exposing your child to all kinds of stalkers and creeps by displaying them online. I've read about maybe a dozen cases where the child abductors found their victims' pictures on social media and locked on. That is a truly terrifying thing to think about. Easy fix, you just don't think about it. No, I'm kidding. We put pictures of my kids online a few times. Maybe it is a terrible idea, but I guess the difference is they're not like the focal point of the thing. Anyways, OP continues, what makes it worse is that when I went to check Sheen's current social media for the purposes of this story, I found out that he has kept at taking photos of his daughter. Yeah, this is getting creepier, isn't it? No, taking photos of your daughter isn't a bad thing on its own, but quite a few of them are swimming suit photos. These are posed pictures, not ones where Peach is just like playing on the beach. I mean, they're not explicit, mind you. If they were, I'd have hunted down Whiff's contact info, sent every last one of them to her, and told her to contact the courts. But they did make me feel a little fearful on Peach's behalf. It's frustrating to see that after years of trying my hardest to get Sheen to form into something resembling rational, he is still completely comfortable as a self-made moron. Yeah, pretty sketch, I don't know. We should know how old the kid is just for context. But really, any way you slice it, it isn't about the kid. Yeah, it's about using the kid to further his photography career that he's not trying at all to make happen.
Maybe if I post enough photos of my daughter on Facebook, some photography industry expert will come along and recruit me.
Like, bro, that's not how it works at all. Get business-minded if you really want to do this, okay? Just waiting for opportunity to fall into your lap. But what can I expect, really? Okay, so you guys have all been waiting long enough. This is Sheen's short rapper career.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yes, this is the cringe I've been waiting for the longest. During the previous parts, you have observed Sheenbeard engaging in a multitude of pursuits in both business and most recently, art. And you know how those exploits went. Well, please adjust your expectations accordingly. Noted. Expectations set to subterranean. I first heard about Sheen's songwriting aspirations when he was still with Rose. He mentioned in passing about his dabblings in poetry and the written word in general. Not once did he attempt to share one of these works with me, however, and I wasn't foolish enough to expose my eyes to them out of my own initiative. Smart. It's real smart. Unless you're willing to bring the cringe back to share with us, because God, I love a good crappy pasta. So alas, I really would have no knowledge of his merits or lack thereof regarding these pursuits. Fast forward to a few years down the line, after Whiff left him. Sheen told me that
he had been channeling his feelings about the breakup into music,
and he shared with me some super secret information.
Oh, I bet it's gonna be so juicy.
He had managed to land a recording contract with a local label. Oh my God, so amazing. I did congratulate him, surprised by the sudden development in his life, but also he might have found a healthy outlet for his emotions. What if he was really just like this musical genius that nobody suspected? But we know that's not the case. Sheen then hit me with another surprise. As he knew that I work with my voice, he wanted to offer me a chance to sing backup vocals for him. I admit I was a little intrigued and even flattered. Work experience is incredibly valuable, and adding something like that into my portfolio could help me to find better gigs in the future. See, that's business mind. You kill it, OP. All right, next Sheenbeard part, I'm gonna have OP voice herself. Is that weird or is that cool? Is that where all this Reddit reading stuff is going? I really don't know. Comments will let me know. Anyways, OP continues. I had never heard Sheen sing a single note before, but I suppose that him having vocal talent wasn't entirely out of the realm of possibility. Yeah, man, hope floats for sure. I did have some concerns over the lyrics that Sheen may have written, however. The source of his inspiration being a very nasty breakup with someone that I still considered a friend and that could result in some discomfort. To not get caught in an awkward position, I asked him to send me some of his songs to listen to before I would commit to anything. Big brain time. I also noted to him that I wasn't so sure that the recording label would be happy with vocals that weren't recorded under their studio conditions. Sheen went on a tangent, promising me that
he'd get me a part for sure.
I thanked him for his generosity, but said that I still needed to hear his work first. He promised to send me a demo
soon.
And then he frantically went to work in Fruity Loops Studio. This is how we do it, right? I am the local studio now. Weeks passed, and I even asked for the demo a couple more times, and each time was given some random excuse about him
not having the demo on him at the moment.
I wasn't too surprised. Sheen had never been the reliable type, and him not following through was in line with his character. Besides, for months, our communication had been mostly consisted of me listening to his bottomless complaints about his constant custody drama with Whiff. The formerly engaged, now estranged couple were taking jab after jab at each other, each trying to drag the other's already questionable reputation through a mud wrestling pit. Hey, we need to get them on Jerry Springer. Maybe that's the big break. I didn't expect Sheen to have ample time for musical pursuits in the midst of their battles, so I stopped thinking about Sheen's promises and slowly grew numb to the incessant drama. Then one day, my inbox let out a familiar beep. It was Sheenbeard. Sheen,
hey, OP, can I ask for your musical opinion?
No. But OP says, sure. Was Sheen finally ready to share the demo with me? Due to knowing the creature that I was dealing with, I decidedly did not get my hopes up. I waited for his musical-related question for a while, but it never came. 2 days passed before I heard another beep. Sheen,
sorry, things got wild. I had an emergency custody hearing and I had false child abduction charges against me. Whiff tried to go for full custody and deny me visitation. She also made me take down Peach's Instagram and denied acting and modeling from her through the courts.
Bro, if the courts are willing to mandate that, then yeah, that Instagram page was pretty sus. OP says, I see, so normal Friday then. Sheen,
lol, I got 4 songs and my album cover done.
Sheen posts a picture of himself and Whiff kissing outdoors and a photo of Peach blended into the background sky. The picture had been put through a filter to make it look hand-drawn. Wow, that's super cool and original, dude. Sheen,
I'll send you the demo when I get home.
I looked at the picture with a dull expression and rubbed my temples. Here we go again. OP, you do know that you can't use that picture for your album, right? Sheen,
yes, I can.
OP, it's kind of illegal. Unless you have Whiff's permission, you can't use a picture of her. Sheen,
why's that? There's no frontal view, no identification. Persons and photo is owned by me.
I'm not taking on this battle. I will let the courts sort you out. That's fine. No, I have no clue what he meant by the last persons, to be honest. The entirety of the last message is really barely comprehensible to me, even now. Yeah, samesies, bro. And I'm pretty adept after sorting through My Immortal and Chris Trucker emails. Maybe my brain has just turned to mush. Anyways, on that day, I was not in the mood for such nonsense and simply tapped the table before me impatiently with my face. Whiff's full profile was perfectly visible in that image. Sheen wouldn't listen to me though. Whiff and I hadn't spoken in months. The record label, assuming there even was one and that they had some professionalism, would have to take this one. OP, I recognize her, but I won't butt in anymore. Not my problem. Sheen,
but is it nice?
I routinely dodged Sheen's plea for compliments on a picture, but replaced it with encouragement to share the demo. I was morbidly curious to see what kind of musical mess he had created. OP says, well, I hope it won't get you into trouble, but I'm sure the demo's great. I'll take a moment with it tomorrow. Sheen,
It's still in rough sketch. Gotta actually record. I got the beat and lyrics for 3 songs, and lyrics for 1 more.
yeah, dude. Now all you gotta do now is actually make the song. That's the easy part. Hadn't he promised to send me the demo only moments before? And didn't he claim last time that he had finished 4 whole songs? Now there was only a rough sketch, and nothing had even been recorded? Would calling him out on this inconsistency yield anything that wouldn't want to make me reach through the computer and slam Sheen's face into his keyboard? My gut told me no. I never did end up hearing Sheen rap, and sadly, that means neither will you. Aw, man! Just a lot of talk and bluster. I can't be too surprised. He doesn't deliver on anything. I talk and bluster a lot too, but I do deliver on some select things. Sheen did send me some eye-roll inducing videos where he lip-synced to random songs, but that only counts as a bad visual performance. And maybe it is better this way. His voice does sound like a nasally goat learned English when he speaks, so perhaps the legend of his capabilities as a vocalist is best left unsung. Ha! It's good to be back writing again. I believe we have material for maybe 3 more parts of the Sheenbeard saga. I've already written most of part 8. It's going to be a rough one for me to get through, so I got a head start on it. Fortunately, we will get to enjoy part 7's Sheenanigans TM before that. A nice branding. Next time, what Sheen can buy. Until then, rest your muscles, mother of rain. Yeah, drink some creatine powder or something. I don't know nothing about it, but it sure does taste good. I like the strawberry one. Sheen has a lot of great aspirations, but yeah, the fact that he just takes no steps towards pursuing any of them aside from having the idea, that is the biggest component of his delusion. Okay, cool. You want to do this thing. Map out the steps in order to get there. I've had a lot of people ask me like, hey, ReddX, how do you get the voice acting gigs and stuff like that? And it's not like people shuffle into my inbox. You got to go out there, make connections, get to know the right people, keep your ear to the ground. I can count the amount of people that have come to me regarding that on one hand. And that was only when I asked for it did they come to me. So whatever dream that you dream, pursue it with your entire being. Don't flip from idea to idea because then nothing's ever going to happen. Buckle down and commit. And if I'm capable of committing, I know that you are as well. Listener, Sheenbeard, whoever. Let's jump into the next story. I need one more, and we'll just see how it goes. Sheenbeard, part number 7, What Sheen Can Buy. Hello, my little munchkins, my starry-eyed dearies, my cringe lovers. I just finished baking up another batch of spine-bending goodies just for you. There was an attempt to hurry up with this part so that ReddX could have enough material for a video a little bit sooner. I hope that things are a little better on your end there, man. I mean, we're hanging in, I'll say that. Kids a little touch and go, but mostly over it. Now we got wifey and grandma to worry about. But it's gonna be fine. Tribulations are not forever. I appreciate you asking. Well then, let us snack through this next cast list. Sheenbeard. He is like a poorly made souffle. He might look good for about a half second until you nudge him, and the whole carefully constructed image turns out to be made of nothing but hot air. God, that's a beautiful analogy. You gotta write some books, OP. That's what's next. Peach is a cute little cupcake, beautifully decorated, but also sweet on the inside. Mora, that's our OP, a cake roll, perfect for bashing dum-dums over the head with. Most effective when kept in her native frigid temperatures. And the cringe has cooled enough, so okay, everybody, let's have at it.
Milton, don't be greedy. Let's pass it along and make sure everyone gets a piece.
In this part, we do a little bit of a time skip once again. A couple of years passed with me keeping somewhat loosely in touch with Sheenbeard and more specifically Peach. He was often bored or lonely when his daughter was spending time at her mother's, and that is when Sheen would go through his contact list, looking for someone to entertain him. During these times, I stonewalled him quite a bit and kept my responses short and to the point because I really had no energy to entertain such a lazy conversationalist. If you need to carry a conversation by yourself, like Sam carried Frodo up Mount Doom, well, it's not really a conversation worth having, now is it? There is no ring of power for you to worry about, so let that whiny sack of potatoes roll right into the lava. Boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew, boil 'em, mash 'em, stick 'em in a stew, potato, 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 taters. On a few occasions, however, Sheen would fiddle around with his phone while Peach was staying with him. And during these instances, Peach, like most little children, wanted to be a part of all of her dad's activities. So they'd call me together, and I chatted with Peach about things like daycare and her toys and her favorite shows. God, talking to kids is boring. Good on you for doing it, OP. It's like that Louis C.K. bit where he's like, a child has never told me something that blew my mind. One evening, she wanted to call me during her water-themed playtime. And when I picked up Sheen's surprise call, Peach was already splashing around with a bunch of her toys and sang gleeful hellos to me. After recounting her latest news to me, she pleaded for me to play with her. I chuckled and relented. Her enthusiasm reminded me of my cousin when she was still small and begged me to join her in playing with Barbies. Yeah, see, that's the fun part about kids. Get down on their level, play some Legos with them. Those are the best times. Peach, too, wanted to play with dolls, but hers were these 3 superhero kids from some animated TV program. It's PJ Masks, isn't it? God, I know way too much about PJ Masks. I know she was a fan of a show called Miraculous Ladybug because I learned to sing the opening theme to surprise her, but I'm not sure if those toys were from that show or not. I remember Miraculous Ladybug too. Thank God my daughter grew out of that one. Anyway, Peach assigned a toy to each of us, Sheenbeard included, and began leading an expedition to explore the bathtub. See what I mean? This is great. Don't have a conversation with me. Let's have an adventure. I had Sheen take physical control of my green-colored doll while I narrated the actions she took and gave her my best superhero voice. When Peach's red doll fell off of our noble boat and got attacked by a shark, Green leaped after her and punched the shark out of the water with proper sound effects and all. Pachooey pachow! It's more like a gun than a punch. Well, my punch is as fast as a gun. Peach seemed to be having fun. I was relieved that she appeared to be well, and that Sheen let her take charge of her own play. That's a good sign. After a while, I let my now soaked playmates know that I had some other duties to attend, and I left the pair of them to finish up their night. After this, Peach kept asking for Green Girl more often. My real name was a bit difficult for her to say, so she resorted to using the name of the doll most of the time. I thought this was sweet, and I did play with her a few more times. The time zone difference meant that such chances were few and far between, but I do cherish the memories that we made. God, what is this feeling? It feels like almost wholesome. Sheenbeard is responsible for engineering this? Is it purely the kid's idea? I'm really trying to wrap my mind around it. So why am I writing about playtime with Peach? I don't know, I was hoping just because it's wholesome and you thought we might enjoy it. It's because I wanted you to get a glimpse of my relationship with her. I was never a prominent present in Peach's life, but I was fond of that little critter, and I wanted to help make her life better, at least a little bit, in my own small way. For some reason, I get on well with kids overall, and a few of my friends' children straight up know me as their honorary Auntie Rain. This is not a title that I am anyway unhappy with, and I do carry it with pride. As well you should! I think that we have let Sheen lurk on the back burner for too long at this point. Let us return to recounting his beardy endeavors. It was an early Saturday morning for me. I had been unable to sleep very well and had woken up to some random noise from the apartment above mine. Sheen and Peach would sometimes call me at that hour and get me to participate in their evening playtime. Remember? Time zone difference. Yeah, bro, I remember, bro. I'm not Sheen, bro. Although maybe it is good for like cohesion between videos. Whatever. So when my computer started serenading the familiar tune of bleeps and bloops at me, I answered, expecting to hear Peach's voice greet me. Instead, I was hit by a series of nasally bass from Sheenbeard. I was ready to come up with an excuse to cut the call short, but instead of his usual, boring, lonely spiel, he wanted to ask me a favor. I was instantly suspicious, of course. OP, what is it that you need? Sheen,
well, Peach has been asking for something. So it's actually for her too, and not just for me.
Bro, don't fall for that. But OP's brow does unfurrow just a little. OP says, go on. Sheen,
Peach is growing up, and I miss when she was a baby. I really want to have a second one, and Peach has been asking for a sister too.
Oh my god. No. The creases on my forehead returned with a vengeance. OP, okay. And what is it that I should do about that? Please tell me you haven't knocked up another crazy person. Sheen,
no, it's not like that. You see, OP, I was wondering if you'd be willing to carry that baby for me.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
I will not bear your beard spawn. Away with you, demon. OP just says, aha. Sheen,
yeah, like I'd pay you, of course, and I'd take care of all your expenses during the pregnancy, and...
OP, excuse me? Hold on a moment. Are you asking for me to be a surrogate? For you and who? What? Sheen,
no. I'm like asking you to donate your egg.
Oh, God, it's just exactly what I feared.
You and Peach have the same hair color, so the baby would look like her too. You don't need to be a mom if you don't want to. You can just sign off the parental rights to me. I don't want a big custody fight like with Whiff. If you want, you could visit us and stuff, of course. Or if you want, you could also...
Beep. I wasn't listening anymore. My brain was frozen, trying to understand what on Arda, that's Tolkien's Earth for the less geeky, the oiled orc was talking about. It was far too early in the morning for a discussion of such magnitude, so I grasped the smaller details of the matter. Just logic. I needed some logic. Something stable we could grab onto. But this is Sheenbeard's head. I don't think we're going to find anything stable. OP just says, so wait, you want me to have a baby for you? How exactly? Sheen,
well, we could save money and do it the traditional way.
OP, no. And besides, I'm all the way in a different country anyway. Dude, this is like so transparent, insultingly transparent.
Yeah, we'll just do it the traditional way.
Are you for real? Sheen says,
I could fly you over, and then you can fly back a few months later, and then back here to give birth. And then you could sign off the baby to me and go back home.
Was this goon serious? The money needed for such a set of plane tickets could easily cost up to £4,000, not to mention all the visa hassles. Besides, if I were to have a child, I couldn't just give them up. I noticed myself getting outraged by this idea. Oh, good, you're catching up with the rest of us. This is the worst thing to ever happen, ever. You're hardly capable of taking care of one child, Sheenbeard. Just stop. OP just says, and what the hell? I'm not gonna sell my baby, even a hypothetical one. I couldn't do something like that. There's no way that I'd leave my child to the other side of the planet and just never see them again. Sheen?
Well, you could always stay here.
Oh, now we get down to the root of the matter, don't we? That's what this is about. OP says, I have been to your country and I didn't like it there. Hard pass. Sheen?
Peach and I could move there.
What the hell are you talking about? He really thinks this is leading towards a relationship? I don't even know where to start. OP just says, and how could you possibly manage any of that? Whiff is definitely not gonna let her child move out of the country, let alone to another frickin' continent, and that's not really even the point. The whole idea is just insane. Sheen?
What do you mean it's insane? You've seen Peach. I make some really cute babies. And I think you'd make cute babies. We could make a really cute sibling for Peach together. And she likes you. Plus, I told you, I'd pay for everything. And I could give you
a very large sum of money
for carrying my baby. You could choose to be a mom or just be an auntie or something.
Bro, even if OP were to say yes, where's all this magical money coming from? Why don't you go adopt a child instead of coercing your online friend into letting you get her pregnant? Oh, sick, dude. My brain was finally starting to catch up. Why was I even discussing something like this with Sheen, of all people? It was clear from the get-go that I would not be doing this for or with him. OP says, no, Sheenbeard. 1, I don't want to sleep with you. 2, I don't want to have a baby right now. 3, I am so not ready to be a mom. And 4, there's no conceivable way for me to sell my baby. The answer is no. Do you think he accepted the no? I don't think he accepted the no, because Sheen tried to argue the matter with me for almost another half hour. I'm not sure why. I didn't just tell him to go stuff himself with lead pellets and jump in the closest river. Maybe I was so flabbergasted by such a ridiculous idea that I had to try and understand his logic. He had none. No sound solutions for even just the glaringly obvious logistical issues. He must have been banking on the idea of me sailing west and into his arms. I would sooner burn all of my books than get within 5 meters of Sheen's miasmosphere. Yeah, that's 2d6 plus 3, 10-meter radius. Unholy stench is a channeled spell. You can't even interrupt it. OP says, and yeah, I love my books. Just the idea of his bun in my oven. Oh, the thought alone makes me want to evacuate today's entire caloric intake in one huge wave of bile. I'm right there with you, honestly. This is the worst thing ever. Finally, Sheen found himself without further arguments and relented. He said,
it was fine if I declined his generous offer, because he had a couple of other women in mind, and he would ask this of them as well. Besides, I was only number 2 on his list of preferences anyway.
Please stop what you're doing. Just don't subject any more human beings to this, please. I told him to go talk it out with those women instead of trying to request me for something that I was absolutely not willing to give to him. The topic was finally dropped and I went on a very long walk. Who the hell tries to frickin' buy a baby? Maybe in Sheen's country this was something people did from time to time, but in mine, such a transaction would be flat out illegal. Or maybe this was a fully homebrewed concept that Sheen had come up with. I wasn't sure, and I still am not sure. The guy could have offered me a PlayStation before asking for such favors. No sense of proper courtship whatsoever. Yeah, give me the PlayStation. I'll think about it, for reals. Sheen didn't directly try to request a baby from me again, directly being the operative word. He did send me a truckload of photos of Peach, noting each time
how cute his daughter was.
Bro, Sheen, I don't think you had any part of that, okay? I ignored all of these pictures consistently, and after this little set of quotes from Sheen, Peach,
Dad, remember the girl? The green girl?
Sheen,
yeah, that's OP.
Peach,
I like OP. She's my best friend. We play with her like mommy, daddy, and baby in my bath.
God, that breaks your heart, doesn't it? But I can't fall for this manipulation. And OP says she wouldn't engage in playtime with Peach anymore. It's the way it's gotta be. If Sheen was feeding her this idea of me being a potential new mommy, then I couldn't in clear conscience keep being around in such a capacity. I refused to partake in breaking that little girl's heart when I inevitably would have to draw an even harder line in the sand, this time with Sheen's face. I was a little sad to sever my personal connection with Peach, but I figured it was the kinder thing to do in the long run. Yeah, you're making hard choices, gotta respect that. After realizing that using Peach wasn't gonna change my mind, Sheen tried a different route. He asked me out. He told me,
he actually liked me for a long, long time, but he never acted on his feelings and blah, blah, blah.
You know we all saw this, right? Already? You thought the baby thing was just about a baby? Probably in Sheen's mind he did. He really thinks he's just some sort of dastardly mastermind. I told him that I sincerely doubted any of that, and that he should get his head on straight and stop spewing nonsense. Sheenbeard insisted
that his feelings were genuine.
And so, I gave him the same answer that I had given to a coworker of mine a few months before. Ask me again in 3 months. I mean, I kind of like that strategy, but it's also not a no. I think a no would be more effective here. A little context might be needed here, I think. At the same time, I worked part-time at a small cafeteria. One of my coworkers was known to be a bit of a ladies' man and had tried to ask me out. In order to not be confrontational, I told him to ask me again in exactly 3 months, if he was serious. He actually did ask me, but sadly, he missed his deadline by 2 weeks. So regrettably, I had to decline. We laughed about it together and stayed good friends while I still worked there. He was a good guy, but quite a bit older than I, and a bit too outgoing for my introverted self. He did give me tons of great advice, though, and I remember him fondly. Yeah, which you might not have if you had started dating. Why are you gonna date somebody you work with anyways? This is crazy. Anyways, back to Sheen. My intention was to reject Sheen's advances without actually having to give him a straight-up rejection, which I was sure would result in an argument.
Why not? I'm XYZ and I'm so great.
I didn't want to have to bash him through the floor by explaining to him in great detail just why he was not as great as he seemed to think. I was naive to think that Sheen would just give up that easily. Fast forward again to 3 months later, Sheen,
about that dating?
OP said hopefully, you've given it some thought and realized that it's a bad idea? Sheen,
no, but since you live over there, I figured I need to get you to say yes first, and then, in a perfect world, we start like a little online playing, and once you're madly in love with me, I bring you over here for a proper date, and then one of us decides to stay with the other, and bada bing, bada boom, happily ever after, Hollywood dream, right?
Bro, you really are in La La Land. Whatever gave you the idea that online playing was a thing that would ever happen? I answered by sending him a sticker of a black cat tossing sand with its hind legs. You know, the way that cats do after relieving themselves. Sheen,
is that subliminal flirting? Or is your cat pooping on me?
OP, the cat is burying the turd. That is all Hollywood endings. I mean, Hollywood endings don't happen. I don't think Sheen realizes how difficult marriage can be. But Sheen continues barreling through, saying,
But don't they deserve a chance? I'd like a bit of hope to find a decent girl like you. Girls here suck, and not in a good way.
yeah, got him.
I'm sure between my wonderful parenting skills, my very mature responsibility, and my dashing good looks, and my boyish charm, you have to find something a bit attractive about me.
Bro, I'm not your mom. I'm not here to gas you up. I don't know who told you that any of what you were doing is even passable, but they lied, Sheen. Get a grip. OP just says, look, I'm not attracted to people very easily. Sheen?
Yeah, as an asexual, neither am I. But I make cute babies.
Asexual babies.
My daughter really is the perfect little girl. And my dog is adorable.
Sheenbeard, an asexual. Really? I stepped over that conversational trap door and decided to carefully attempt addressing Sheen's most glaring character flaw. Geez, how do you pick? There's so many to choose from. Instead, OP goes with, you are a bit on the delusional side, you know? Sheen?
How so?
OP? Well, you have a tendency of dreaming a bit too much. You could stand to spend a bit more time in the real world. I suppose as long as you're happy and it doesn't hurt anyone, it can be fine, but, like, it's just not for me. Sheen?
But that's not a no, right?
Bro, I'm telling you, you gotta be exceedingly direct. Take him out back, let him have it. He's my dog, I'll do it. OP says, look, honestly, I have feelings for someone else. It's one-sided, but I'm not looking at other men as anything potential now. So, no. Sheen?
Ouch. So I would be a consolation prize?
Not even that. Even that's gassing yourself up too much there, buddy. OP says, look, I don't do constellation relationships, Sheen. I'm not like that. Sheen?
I'd be okay with that for you. Being a consolation prize. Lol.
Oh, it's pathetic.
God damn. If you asked me to date before Whiff and I got together, or even a few weeks into our relationship, I would have dropped her in a heartbeat for you. I'm just saying.
OP? Huh? Sheen?
I've always had feelings for you.
OP? Yeah, no. That makes no sense to me. No. Sheen?
But why?
I was just done with this conversation. An important tip. If someone claims that they drop someone else for you in a heartbeat, they're not a good partner to have. Yeah, much like cheaters. I closed my laptop and ignored Sheen and his messages for the next week. We had one more conversation later where I explained to Sheen how unrealistic his idea of him and I dating was, and how I really did have no interest in him. He did apologize for being so pushy and wished me luck with the guy that I was interested in. I thought everything was handled quite cleanly at that point. I was left with only a mild degree of irritation and no pulsing headache. Maybe Sheen could turn into a decent human being yet. Yeah, totally. And what about Sheen's second baby wishes? Well, he did find someone who was finally willing to give him one. Two someones, as a matter of fact. Oh my god, how is that even possible? Sheen, however, has no second baby even to this day, so I have to assume that both promises fell through one way or the other. Yeah, or he was lying about the whole thing. That's what I'm gonna go with. I don't want to imagine women agreeing to spawn baby neckbeards, okay? Thank you guys for reading this part of the Sheenbeard saga. We are approaching the home stretch. Probably one more video. The next part is particularly disgusting for me, so prepare yourselves for that. Until then, stay fed and warm, Mother of Rain. God, the disconnect really is real. I don't know how he convinced himself of all these things. He looks around, sees the nothing that he's created, and then in his own head, he's like, this is my empire. I've done so well. Like, bro, just stop. I guess it comes from all the fishing for compliments that he seems to do. He must have at least a few people who are still feeding him those things. But all I can really say is at least OP put him on kind of a diet, you know? No more compliments for you, Sheenbeard. You've had your fill. There goes Sheenbeard. He's slip sliding away. Sheenbeard Saga, part number 8. This is the finale episode. We're going to do parts 8 and 9. If you missed the previous parts, that link in the description. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. The mask cometh off, and so do his pants. Please, don't get too descriptive with that. I don't know if I can handle this today. Hello there, readers and listeners. Hi, Mother of Rain. Before we go anywhere with this part, I have to issue a warning. Oh, that's not good. There will be some explicit stuff in this one that I can't say this early in the video. Due to the unpleasant nature of this story, my writing may be a little less colorful than it usually is, but I promise to try and not make it too depressing. So let's get started with a little bit of a different cast list. Oh, done in poem. Look at this. What a masterwork. Sheenbeard, the cry of a goat, putrid with slime, pollutes your ears and steals your time. The oily sheen may hurt your eyes, but what can blind you are his lies. This is beautiful. A promised fate, a movie ending, hands devout to reality's bending. A foolish man or beast of prey, which wins out? I cannot say. Holy God, dude. You sent chills up my spine right now. That's beautiful. I'm sorry I can't butcher it in the song, but I think it stands on its own really well. We've also got Peach. Your spawn point has not been the best, but do hold on till you fly the nest. And though you get covered in gifts and bling, don't forget the beauty within. Kind of a slant rhyme, but I'll allow it. The first one really slapped me in the face. You could get away with anything at this point. Mora, that's our OP. Though this ill girl has little to give, by soothing your wounds, I can learn to live. A bleeding heart with a bruised mind, counterbalance the pain, let my spirit be kind. I feel my cage, I can see the bars. I'll fight my way free and touch the stars. God, another banger, Jesus! We are off to such a strong start. I'm loving everything. The artistry in the ReddX community is just unparalleled. I will put my community up against any other YouTuber's community in the world, all right? One ReddX Industries employee guy could take down like 10,000 Mr. Beast 12-year-olds, right? We're just gonna have to start working out a little bit. Let's get ready for the war, boys and girls. And so, here we are. I know this is a story about Sheenbeard, but in order for things in this part to make sense, I'll have to talk about my history. As humans, we are a complex result of our experiences and biological qualities. In my case, my genetics, temperament, and overall personality meshed poorly with my circumstances and surroundings, so I hope that you can forgive me for the trauma dump. You've earned it. You waited all the way up until almost the last part. You have won the hearts and minds. Do what you gotta do, OP. I had actually originally written 2 whole pages about this, but let's keep it short and less soul-crushingly detailed for all of your sakes. I mean, I do appreciate that, OP, but recognize that my platform is your platform and you're welcome to say whatever you feel you need to say, all right? Due to the combined efforts of a self-centered, if not malicious, mother, a horrible stepfather, bad serotonin genetics, and my mild temperament, I've spent up to 15 years dealing with crippling depression. I kept putting off escaping, in quotes, you know what that means, because there was always someone that I had to help, and I couldn't be so selfish as to leave them alone. Sheen was not one of these people for me, however. I felt worthless, and I put all my own feelings on hold for the benefit of others. An extremely unhealthy lesson that I learned when I was only a small child. God, I see this a lot. My own wife is a martyr just like this. I'm like, just let it go. Put down the baggage. You don't have to pick up everybody's baggage. You're one person. Let it go. I was the target of a whole lot of schmexual maltreatment and assault by a few of my peers from when I was 12 years old until on into my late teens. The complete lack of adult intervention and the consistent repetition normalized this for me in a very unhealthy way. At first, I fought people off of me and tried to defend myself, But by 18, I just stood there and did nothing. I felt nothing. If someone groped me, I'd just check out mentally and wait for it to end. Nobody talked about my maltreatment when I was a kid, and despite being a grown-up now and knowing more than I'd like to about the topic, I only connected the dots between this knowledge and the events during my teenage years about 2 years ago. I think the fact that the perpetrators were other kids made it so hard to realize just what it was. I'm working through my own trauma bit by bit. I've learned to set boundaries and reclaimed my body as my own. Yeah, we go through some dark times, you know, but I'm glad that you're finding your happy ending. Now that you know all of this, I think you have enough perspective to understand why some of my responses to Sheen have been healthy and clear, but at the same time, I still put up with his presence in my life. I could always muster strength to help others, but I couldn't rally that for myself because I found myself irrelevant. You are very much not irrelevant, OP. You're making your impact on the world. Even if it's just through, you know, the people that listen to these stories or hanging out with us in the Discord, which that link is in the description if you want. I think you are a wonderful soul, and I'm very glad we're friends. All right, then, let's get down to the event that would end the friendship between Sheenbeard and I permanently. It happened a few years ago on an early Sunday morning. I had woken up from one of my usual nightmares and couldn't calm my pulse enough to fall back asleep. My body was in fight or flight mode, and I was far too full of adrenaline to believe that we were, in fact, safe. Nothing to do but wait it out and distract myself. So I browsed the internet to chase away the phantom memories left behind by the bad dream, and as most of these stories begin, I heard that insistent "Bab." Before we read Sheen's message to me, I'll clue you in on a little secret. Sheenbeard is not actually a man of capital lettering, punctuation, or proper spelling. To spare you from losing IQ points to the process of trying to decipher what the grease goblin's nostril miners managed to type out, I have so far taken the liberty of altering his gibberish into a more readable format. This time, however, I will expose your temporal lobes to his actual writing style. Oh god, didn't we get enough with my immortal? I hope you have some painkillers at hand. Right then, here we go. I opened his message. Sheen, Bora, I bust you. God damn it. It never ends. The ride just never ends. OP says, yeah, well, hug to you. Sheen, yeah. Come have a drink with thee and celebrate. There were a couple more typos than usual in Sheen's writing. OP says, are you drunk? Sheen, what? Me? Beverer.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Sheen then proceeded to call me. He was not only drunk as a fish, but also high as a kite. I know that many people seek both of these states recreationally, but unfortunately in my life, both alcohol and other substances have caused death and carnage among family or friends. Because of these losses, I'm not able to view either of these activities as fun, but I rather see them as dangerous. I won't chastise someone for spending their time and money in the way that they wish, as long as it's legal, but people who aren't fully in charge of themselves and thus unpredictable make me uncomfortable and incredibly worried about their safety. I'm gonna agree with everything you said right now with the addendum, smoke weed every day. Anyway, Sheen continues on. Bora, I am so lonely. Why is there a hyphen there? OP says, I really hope Peach isn't there with you being in that state. Sheen, no, she's with her mom. I'm so lonely, Bora. You should come drink with me. Are you stuttering through text? And I noticed that the writing has suddenly gotten a lot better. Once we firmly establish the fact that yes, he's indeed drunk, he doesn't need to overact. Which if there's one thing we know about Sheen, he's an overactor. OP says, I don't do getting drunk, Sheen. Sheen, but I'm so horny. OP, excuse me? Time to disconnect the call, block, whatever you gotta do. It's time to go. This part I am incredibly uncomfortable with. Sheen was suddenly making a drunken move on me, and I was absolutely not interested. Yeah, that's the nice thing about the internet. You're drunk, I'll unblock you tomorrow. Bye. I had already made it clear that I was not into him. I told him as much in gentle terms so as not to upset his very messed up self. He then started to make commentary on going out to look for someone to drown his loneliness into, and this is where I got scared for him. I told him that going out in his current state was not a good idea, and I said that he should just go to sleep. He kept crying about his loneliness and going on about how horny he was. Dude, let's deal with the loneliness first. How about that? It was at this point that OP snaps at him to just wank it before bed or something and to not be an idiot. It's good advice for life, honestly. He then proceeded to insist that I sit with him as he does it. No, no, no! I was not comfortable with this. Still, my fear for his safety, oh my god, you're gonna do it? Combined with the history of my boundaries consistently getting ground up into little specks of sand, kept me from cussing him out and hanging up. Dude, oh god. You're never gonna do this again, right? Tell me at least we've learned a lesson from this experience. Honestly, considering all I'd gone through by that point in my life, sitting in my room while a drunken idiot fondles himself on another continent was gross and uncomfortable, but the lesser evil to what was in my mind was a chance for a little child to lose her dad in some sort of drunken accident. I told him to just get it over with and go to sleep so he wouldn't hurt his dumb ass by drunk driving. So, Sheen started to work on himself. I don't remember much of the process. My mind shut down much like it normally did when I was being touched against my will. Yeah, but this is touching inside your brain. It's so different. I hate it. I think he talked to me like a wanker, and I responded with an occasional, or something. Then he said something that snapped my attention back to this most uncomfortable situation. Sheen,
You wanna see?
OP? What? No! Oh my god, dude. Now this knowledge is in all of our minds! I wasn't ready for this today. Beware, description of little Sheen ahead. God. And there it was. Every woman's shared experience on the internet. A dick pic. Stubby, wrinkly, and absolutely disgusting. I hate it. The shaft, oh no, don't go into detail. The shaft looked inflamed and uncomfortably pink, and the mushroom head was an unhealthy shade of grayish purple. Yep, I'm dying inside. Thank you so much for that. The sack. Oh, the sack. Please, I just want it to be over. My mind's gonna shut this out too. The sack hung sad and malformed like a freshly emptied balloon. If it was freshly emptied, I don't know if we'd be having these problems. You kind of get that post-nut clarity. You're like, oh, that was a really dumb idea. Among such exhibits that I have, mostly involuntarily, thank you, internet strangers, ended up witnessing in my life, this one remains the foulest. That's probably why he got comfortable around you. So he could feel confident enough to do this, and then he'll ask you, is it nice? And start seeking compliments like he did, and it just makes me want to die. Please. It could well be used as the centerpiece of a repugnant coquet. I don't want to mention that either. I would not touch that puss-smeared seed wurst, even if I was paid to do so, unless that touching was to be done with a fully fueled up chainsaw whilst I get to wear a full-blown hazmat suit. Jesus. You're really painting the picture here. All I wanted was to hear Sheenbeard rap, you know? And now here we are, talking about mutilating his genitals with a chainsaw. I don't know how we got to this point. Did I take such a good look at it that night as to vividly remember this years later? Not quite. Although the general impression is one that I remembered better than I would ever like to. Sheen never had the decency to delete that image, and when I was looking through the chat history in order to refresh my memory on his rapper career, I was hit in the face for the second time in my life by his sad little sausage. Oh my god, dude. I'm so sorry I had to make you relive this. I appreciate you going back through the archives, but I don't know if it was fully worth it. They say misery loves company, so join me, and do excuse me as I go throw up. I guess I did make you have to relive it, so okay, I take this burden on board. I'm gonna help you carry this baggage around, alright? And so is everybody else who's listening, I guess. So, some serious dry heaving later. Okay, let's try and continue this. Yeah, try. Judging by the call history, this is where I hung up on him. I was appalled and pissed off. I might have been lacking in my ability to hold certain boundaries, but I had a clear policy on unsolicited pictures like that being completely unwelcome. That's right, zero tolerance. He rushed to call me back, and I gave him a speech on how what he did was unacceptable. Oh, my cock's gone right down. I wish I had a written record of that, because I know the rare occasion that I do get angry and give someone a proper verbal lashing is normally something that my friends like to grab a tub of popcorn for. Sadly, though, I remember little beyond my initial reaction and the disappointment in a quote-unquote friend of so many years treating me like so many men had before. That night, any respect that I had left for Sheen died. Or so I thought. Dude, he is just undying. I don't know why this keeps happening. Oh wait, yes I do. Please stop, OP. Zero tolerance means zero tolerance, okay? In truth, any respect that I had left for Sheen died the next day. Oh, good. When he wrote me, and when I confronted him about his previous night's behavior. He acted like his actions were not a big deal at all. He thought it was perfectly normal and okay to send anyone a picture of his malformed dong. He just kept saying, why you gotta make it weird, OP? You made it weird! This is the results of your own actions! How can you not see? When I told him that I felt really uncomfortable with how he had pushed me into listening to him play with himself, he claimed that I must have enjoyed it. Better yet, he said that I had recorded the call. Honestly, I wish you did, just so years later you could be like, listen to this pig grunting into a microphone, drunk and alone forever in his room. Why? Because apparently he recorded all his calls for court purposes. What state does he live in? I'm pretty sure that's illegal in almost every state except Nevada. I felt sick. Well and truly sick. Was that recording like some kind of twisted trophy for him? Somehow I managed to get a reluctant, sorry out of him. He don't mean that. He don't mean that. It's time to pack it in. It's time to move on. Last chance is last chance, OP. Hold the goddamn line. I hung up. And I seriously wanted to block him for good. Do it. Should have done so. Do it! Just do it! As a cherry on top, he then sent a link to GoFundMe where he was trying to raise money to, quote, keep his daughter safe. Bro, are you ransoming your own kids right now? What are you even talking about? I don't know if that was his attempt to manipulate me into staying around. I don't know if he has the brain power for such guile. Nonetheless, I wrote my thoughts out to him after the link was sent to me. OP said, Sheenbeard, I'm honestly tired of being your I'm bored go-to gal. You clearly don't respect me, nor value my friendship enough to not put it in jeopardy by trying to get some drunken phone sex for yourself. Not to mention, the picture. Getting an apology from you was like pulling teeth and was definitely the least sincere, most sarcastic one that I have heard since my cousin was 14. I never, ever expected you to treat me this shittily, and frankly, considered telling you to screw off for good. I still contend should have done it. You've given me yet another reason to despise the color pink, and you feel tempted to act again like what you did was not a big deal. 6 other male accounts on the matter say otherwise. My friends were all rather disgusted, but no amount of disgust that they feel can match up to how sick to my stomach I feel. In addition, you have the guts to come to me and ask me for more favors with this link? Are you fucking kidding me? The only reason I put up with you at all is for Peach. Get it? Really well worded and authentic feelings dump, but as far as him getting it, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. But this is the first step towards the block button for those that don't use it immediately, so I don't know. Let's continue the process. Sheen retorts and says, well, 1, I said sorry, and 2, the link is for Peach and not me. Oh, really? Whose bank accounts are getting paid out to? I rarely ever have free time to be bored and lonely, and that's basic when I contact people, so it's nothing personal. So don't take that the wrong way, please. Also, why your friends know, lol. There's just so much deflection here. You should take up fencing, you know? OP says, because you called me earlier about last night while I was playing with them, and I had to disappear on them to take your call. I told them because, they're my friends, because we support each other, and I was feeling seriously unwell. I'm around you at all because Peach needs someone sane in her corner. I thought that as long as you don't downright abuse me, okay, it's fine, but I have had enough. You sexually harassed me, and that is where I draw the line. You could have started off with an apology when you woke up, but no. Why you gotta make it weird, Moira? It could have been fun. Go fuck yourself, Sheenbeard. And then you blocked him, right? Just burn all bridges, no more contact ever. From this point onward, I no longer considered Sheenbeard a friend, and along with my friendship, he lost all privileges that had come with it. I kept the channel unblocked so that I could mine Peach every once in a while, but never again would I waste my energy on being nice to Sheen. I directed my full verbal talent into giving him a piece of my mind every time he was being a moron, and I was not shy about calling him out for being a delusional, irresponsible idiot. Yeah, but even that is still wasting your energy. Don't do it. He just craves the attention, good or bad. Later, the disgusting lard mug tried to make another move on me and asked for nudes from me right after showing pictures to me about his new model girlfriend with whom he intended to start a family. Yeah, you're gonna want to reverse image search that one. I told him that he was being disrespectful and degrading toward both me and her, and that his morals were complete trash, which we already knew, but apparently he doesn't know. Sheen said that he was helping with her kids' medical bills and they were gonna go halvesies on a baby. Yeah, that's how babies work. We'll just split it. King Solomon out here. During this same conversation, he was trying to invite me to their future wedding. That's totally gonna happen, yeah. I respectfully declined that invitation. It's not like I was fond of the idea of spending $2,000 to $3,000 on attending Sheenbeard's wedding anyway, but I definitely didn't think that I could attend and not tell the bride that her future husband tried to get nudes from me 15 minutes before inviting me to their hypothetical wedding. Dude, this is so far. I don't know how we got this far beyond the pale. He just continues descending. You really don't think it's possible, and then, yep, there he goes. Sheen got indignant, and I called him a slimy asshole. This upset him enough that a few days later, he sent me a dramatic message. Sheen, after 11 crazy years, this come with a heavy heart, but I no longer wish to be friends. It was fun, and I love you, but goodbye, OP. Take care, and be well. Don't even respond. Please just block him. Okay, we're not friends? Good. Cut the cord. I understand for the kid and stuff like that, but come on. You can't save that kid. You can hardly save yourself. And I mean that with all the respect in the world. I don't think that he just expected me to say, okay, and delete him from my friends. I'm free. I'm free.
I'm free. I'm free. Dang it.
I love that response. That's beautiful. Not even 2 weeks later, he messaged me again asking why I deleted him. God dang it! OP, you said you don't want to be friends. That's why. Sheen,
I was gonna take a break from talking to each other, but I would still want to see pictures that you post her. You see pics of me and Peach to know we're okay, and you're okay, you know, still alive.
Your syntax is just awful. I don't even care to decode it. Then he went on to say how he's on a downward spiral because
life is very hard on him and he needs a support system and
yada, yada, yada. Yeah, you do need a support system, but the one that you had, you abused and it left. What is difficult to understand there? I simply said, I wish you luck, and left it at that. He could still write to me if Peach was in trouble, but I saw no reason to even pretend anymore that we were still friends. In hindsight, how did he even notice that I unadded him? He must have tried to snoop on my profile. I hadn't and have still not posted anything in years. Why was that guy still trying to look at my things over there? He did say he still wanted to see my pictures.
Oh God, I don't feel so good.
Facebook wank session is the creepiest wank session. Anyway, I ignored Sheen for the next 2 years from there onward. We've had maybe 2 exchanges since then, and I will share the Sheen stupidity in them with you in the next part, along with the rest of the Sheen-nanigans that I unearthed while trying to make sense of some of the messages that he spammed me with. Thank you if you made it through this part. It is a very uncomfortable reminder for me about how messed up I used to be and how much work I still have left to do in order to bend myself into shape. Writing this out is helpful, I think, even if straining. Until next time, look after yourselves and remember to drink enough water. Mother of Rain. The wildest of rides that we have been on recently. I definitely feel super sorry that this experience happened to you, OP, but you know, at least it made you realize some things. We're all works in progress, you know? Nobody should stop learning and growing as a human being. As for bending yourself into shape, yeah, do that as much as you can, but eventually you will need help along the way. And that is when I would recommend talking to a licensed medical professional, not a bunch of Discord weirdos. And I say that with all the love, even including my own Discord weirdos, okay? I guess we'll continue onward, see if we can wrap Sheenbeard today, and I'm looking forward to the final fallout. So let's do it. Sheen Saga Part 9 Finale. Hey, if you haven't liked or subscribed on the video yet, maybe consider doing that, since you seem to be enjoying the content. Thank you so much. The only Sheen in the world. If only that were true. It is time. The final part of the Sheen Saga. I've been wrestling with myself over this one for a few days now. I feel that I've poured a lot of myself into Part 8, and I worry that in comparison, the finale might end up falling flat. So let us approach this rather as a sizable epilogue rather than a grand finale. Oh, then you gotta change the title. Oh wait, you can't do that on Reddit. I will also forego writing a cast list this time, as each member will go through an extensive character analysis in the end. Speaking of cast lists, I would have loved to read the poems for you and sent the audio files over to ReddX, but the risk of someone recognizing my voice feels too daunting at this point. I hope the man himself gives a good performance. I will be judging. Oh, I hope it's up to your standards. All right, enough of the writing warm-up. It's time to wrap this thing up. After the events of Part 8, things could never go back to the way they were. What trust I had in Sheen had been ripped apart, and there was no putting it back together. In my mind, I picture a torn fabric that's just too frayed up to be sewn. Every stitch only ends up creating more damage. I suppose it didn't help that Sheen's choice of thread varied between pretend it never happened and I didn't do anything wrong, it wasn't a big deal. I see no career as a seamstress in Sheen's future. Or a seamster. We gotta make it gender neutral, right? In my heart, I still had space left for Peach, so I promised myself to leave a minor channel open until she started school, and would then hopefully have access to a new support network through her teachers and friends. That's pretty big brain time, honestly. Start the timer for 0-hour no contact. Let us observe the last of Sheen's attempts to reel me back in. 2 years had passed since the day that Sheen threw his friendship is over dramatics, and the first quarter of 2022 was nearly through. Out of the blue, the Beards account suddenly sent me 3 very strange pictures. They were screenshots of Twitter posts. I will alter the content of the posts a little to ensure that nobody finds Sheen on Google, but it stays true to the original formatting. It's too late, the YouTube detectives are already on their way. Screenshot 1. Strange thing happens in cryptoverse where mice cause trouble on blockchain. When looking into it, someone is watching, but how? Check in next week for raffle. What? Under the text, there were over 10 hashtags that were all just as incomprehensible to me as the text preceding them, and a horribly photoshopped image of a cartoon mouse over a nature photograph. He's gone crypto bro now? What the hell? This is high quality schizo posting, okay? I'm pretty sure that's what Twitter's for. I'm gonna do more of this. Screenshot 2. While mouse looks into trouble, hashtag nutty mice kingdom, causes to cryptoverse something else is also causing issues. 12 hashtags and more poorly hand-drawn unidentifiable characters. This time in space? I feel like I'm having a stroke. I don't know what's happening right now. It's total flashbacks to my immortal. Or any of the 4chan green text stories, but even those are slightly more legible. Screenshot 3. Mouse was not able to find the cause of trouble and decided to take hashtag trip to find wizard. He told the issue was hidden, but a ghost could help him find it. But it's protected. Stay tuned to see our hero. A battalion of hashtags and the same cartoon mouse from the first screenshot accompanied some mushrooms. Dude, is this like choose your own adventure? I'm so confused. I stared at the pictures for a minute, trying to make sense of them. The poor writing and the borderline psychedelic imagery left me nothing but confusion. Eventually, I responded with a single sentence. No! You've been lured back in! OP says, hey, were you hacked or something? Sheen, Mo. OP, Mo? Sheen, no! OP, are you high? Sheen, what? No. Why would you assume that? Because you're extra incoherent today. OP says, sending pictures about a mouse who looks like they snorted the whole South American annual Coke production with no context, and then writing Mo with no further explanation? Sheen, I was showing you the little mini story that Peach and I are making. Oh, he's gonna be a children's book author now. Great. OP, and how am I supposed to guess that that's what it was? Sheen, well, you're supposed to know because I shared it with you. My forehead made quick contact with the table. This is definitely his desperate way of just prying the door open one last time. OP says, so you mean to tell me that just from random screenshots, I should have been immediately able to discern that this is a story that you are writing with Peach? Sheen, I was just sharing our little story with you. Jeez. OP, all right. I just thought it looked strange. Thank you for clarifying. Sheen, writing short stories is strange? See, look at him with the righteous indignation trying to pull the door open a little bit further. Nah, slam it shut on his fingers if need be. I had hoped to cut the whole conversation here, but Sheen's persistent stupidity, which I'm pretty sure is an act at this point, drew me down to his level for a moment, and I tried to reason with him. Have we not learned throughout all of this? Please tell me we've learned. OP says, Sheen, they were screenshots of a post with no capital letters and no punctuation, accompanied by imagery that looks rather psychedelic. Oh, this is a short story was not the first thought that jumped into my head. Sheen,
we're making stories to promote NFT projects.
oh God.
NFT projects we're a part of, and add a little entertainment.
Is this what the GoFundMe was for? He got $50 and decided to buy some randomly generated rhinoceros picture. I hate it. Now, OP says, I had no idea whatsoever what NFT was, and as my interlude of idiocy was now over, I moved on to closing the conversation again. OP, cool. I could only tell that they were someone's Twitter posts. Sheen,
but they were posted by me, lol. The username has Sheen in it.
The username was honestly a mess of many words haphazardly strung together, but maybe if the posts themselves hadn't been so utterly distracting, I could have guessed at the owner's account. However, I started feeling petty and decided to throw his logic back into his face. Just disengage. Don't even feel petty. You're expending valuable energy right now, okay? But I guess this is before, like, the end. Are we still in epilogue territory? I don't think so. These are his desperate attempts to worm his way back in. OP says, yeah, but you do know you're not the only Sheen in the world, right? Sheen?
Actually, I am, lol. I check.
OP, you checked. Sheen?
Oh, well, I haven't checked in the last 2 years, but I was the only Sheen for most of my life. There are Sheener and O'Shen. Sheen.
I'm pretty sure Sheen, S-H-E-I-N, is like a knockoff clothing company. But go off, I guess. Who cares anymore? OP says, I could feel my eye twitching. This boastful, bloated bleb was being serious. I didn't know other Sheens, but I felt confident in his name being far from unique. After everything I'd endured from Sheenbeard, I wanted to bite back, to cause discomfort by taking away this source of misplaced pride from him, and in my petty annoyance, I went straight to babynames.com and wrote his name into the search bar. Bingo! His name had an easily traceable European origin, and while Sheen didn't make the top 100 list in his homeland, across the pond, he was far from being the only willy wanker, schlong shaker, cock clutcher, shaft scratcher, weenie whirler, prick plucker, gland groper, dong dangler to carry that name. That list is beautiful. We gotta use this one later. I slapped the link into our chat, and for good measure, we went on to hit Google. His name was found both as a first and last name on more wiki articles than I was willing to dedicate time into counting, and this shut Sheen up. I don't even want to call him Sheen anymore. I want to call him Willy Wanker, Schlong Shaker, Cock Clutcher, Shaft Scratcher, Weenie Whirler, Prick Plucker, Gland Groper, Dong Dangler. I'm gonna get that tattooed somewhere.
No regrets.
Somewhere that I could cover up with the t-shirt, hopefully. This slice of gross grease would no longer be able to continue aggrandizing himself as
the only Sheen in the world.
But to be honest, my triumph over this tiny victory died within seconds. I knew that ultimately my efforts of slimming down Sheenbeard's plus-sized ego with facts would be as futile as any attempts to rinse away a liter of spilled fryer grease with water. I paused. I didn't like behaving in this petty way. Taking pleasures in others' misery was not, and still isn't, a part of my personality. My growing disdain towards Sheen was starting to take on characteristics that I did not wish to welcome onto my list of traits. I ran a quick calculation in my head. Maybe I didn't need to be subjected to this presence for much longer. Yeah, the block button's right there. But if you want to scheme, I guess we could scheme. OP says, hey, is Peach attending school yet? Sheen said,
next year. She's with her mother now, and they're not seeing eye to eye. She a daddy girl.
OP, I hope she has a fantastic time at school. May she have many, many friends. I felt a small pull at the corners of my mouth. A surge of pictures appeared on my screen. Peach was smiling at me from each photograph. She looked happy and healthy, even if quite small. In one of the photos, Peach was standing next to a girl her age. They were supposedly the shortest and tallest in their kindergarten class. The height difference was only a head and a half if I looked at the taller girl, but 2 full heads if I used the proportions of Peach's head. Wow, that's some complicated math there, but yeah, I get you. That's definitely a tiny kid. I think she might be slightly malnourished. Sheen spent too much money on diamond bracelets instead of stuff like, you know, food. Some of you mentioned FASD under the part in which I brought up Whiff, Peach's mother, for those who might have missed the earlier installments of the saga, her drinking habits. And after reading them, I remembered this picture. It spurred me to look up a list of FASD symptoms, and shorter than average height and a small head are both listed. This increased my concerns, and I spent an afternoon studying the syndrome, as well as the photos that Sheen had sent me over the years. A magnifying glass might have been used. I can't spot any clear indicators of fetal alcohol syndrome disorder on Peach's face, and her head does look proportionate to her stature. I remember Sheen mentioning that his mother was also very short, so this is probably just genetic. With all the admittedly limited understanding that I have, there's no cause for panic or further concern. I was surprised by the size difference between the girls back in 2022 as well, but at the time, Sheen interrupted my thoughts by starting to ask for a picture of me. No, we're not opening that door. Thanks for the pictures. I'm glad she's alive. Let me know when she starts school so I can block you forever. Sheen, any recent pics of you? OP, you know me. I'm as camera shy as ever. Sheen, can take a selfie for me? I want to see how you have developed over the years. I hate that. OP says, still camera shy. Sheen, it's just me and Peach. I won't show anyone else. OP, it's not a person that I'm avoidant of. It is the camera. Sheen, crying emoji. OP, you'll live. I love this. Brush him off. He don't deserve nothing, no way, no how. Sheen sent me a photo of him wearing a white wife beater on his person and a sad expression on his face. In his hand was a half-empty bottle of beer. I suppose he was hoping to trade pictures, but that got him nowhere. I was not the kind of person anymore that you could pressure into anything. There you go, taking the power back. You love to see it. 2 weeks later, he tried again. His opener was to try and pull me into VR chat. Wow, that sounds even worse than anything that we've ever done before. No, thank you. I don't think I'm gonna do that ever. I told him it's not my kind of space. Not that I have VR equipment anyways, to which he immediately responded by asking me for a selfie. You can go on VR chat without VR equipment, but yeah, I don't know why you would to hang out with Sheen. And it obviously doesn't mean that much to him, as much as that elusive picture of OP. OP, look, I don't feel like taking one, okay? I look the same as ever. Sheen, you always say that. OP, it's always true. Sheen then posts a picture of himself lying in bed, face greased up and shadowed by another sulky expression. He was probably attempting a smolder. I look shoddy today, but I still take one, lol. I want to see how you changed over years growing up. You're so weird and creepy and I hate this. Please. Are you guys feeling exasperated yet? Absolutely. I definitely was. I repeated that I disliked taking pictures of myself. This is actually true, by the way. I take on an occasional minor acting job, but when I'm posing as a character in front of the camera, my discomfort goes away. After all, they're not photos of me, but of whoever I'm pretending to be. Sinking into a character makes me feel free and fearless, but I digress. Sheen will never see another photo of me in his life, so long as it is up to me. I do kind of get that. I shift into different characters for like Date and Die's channel. Mr. and Mrs. ReddX is probably the closest to me. And then ReddX, yeah, that's also a character. So I do get what you're talking about. Aside from one more Sheen photo dump, that was the last exchange of messages that Sheen and I ever had. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Na Nani baka, nani baka. I decided to deny any response to his visual vomit and lived happily, Sheen-free, until I started writing this saga and had to dig through some history in order to write things as accurately as possible. During my memory refreshments, I also ended up doing some brief internet stalking to share with you the current Sheenanigans, TM. To give you a quick summary, I learned what NFTs are, and that Sheenbeard is extremely into them. Yeah, dude, just hold on to it. It'll retain some value eventually. His Twitter is full of raffles and posts and nonsense about NFTs. He has like maybe 2 to 4 likes and a couple of comments on his posts here and there. I dare doubt that this makes him some crypto NFT millionaire. If anything, looking at the kinds of things that he seems to promote and collect solidifies a belief that I held of him all these years. Sheen has no taste. He still seems to be chasing rainbows, although now these rainbows look like they've been mixed together with every mushroom known to man indiscriminately and smoked up in one batch in just a single go. I mean, I'm into crypto. I've been on the bandwagon for a while. But NFTs? Nah, dude. I'm not paying that much for a monkey JPEG. That's like objectively garbage. I have made a bit of money on crypto even, but the golden age is definitely over, okay? I'm still hodling until it spikes back up, but yeah. Don't ever buy NFTs. Why would you do that? OP continues. I am looking at my notes and it seems like I've written down almost everything. All that remains is to take a look at the characters in the story and say goodbye to them. Some fond farewells, some not so much. I'll try not to ramble on about them too much, so let's start with Rose, my friend, Sheenbeard's ex, and the person who introduced me to this slimy shroom boy all of those years ago. I'd almost forgotten about Rose. Rose is doing a lot better than she was back in the day. Nice. She still has an occasional lapse in her judgment of character, but she is gaining a lot of much-needed confidence. I'm very proud of her, and doing my best as her honorary big sister to give her a good balance of support and tough love when it's needed. It's a hard line to walk. I try and do the same thing. Sometimes I think I lean a bit too much into tough love. Apparently, I've also promised to be a bridesmaid in her future wedding. Is that one totally gonna happen? We don't know! I'm a little scared to see what she'll want me to wear. We do not share the same taste in colors at all, but for her, I'll do it. Whiff, Sheen's ex-fiance and Peach's mother, is a mystery to me. She still shares custody of Peach with Sheenbeard and apparently keeps him at arm's length. I think a small part of Sheen still pines after her, though. I don't know if she continued stripping and entertaining men, but I hope she's acquired a job that holds fewer health risks for her health and for Peach's well-being. Who would go work in an in-person club anyways, when like campsites and OnlyFans are right over— never mind, I'm not giving tips. Peach herself seems to be a regular, lively schoolgirl. Her height does worry me a tiny bit, but I'm sure that being a part of several interactions outside of her home will help ensure her safety in the future. Takes a village. I haven't spoke with her in depth since our playtime, so I don't know much about her psychological state, but things look good from my non-existent vantage point. As this story finally ends, I am letting go of my self-imposed duty to watch over her from afar. I truly do wish her happiness and security in life. I think that's a good way to deal. There are people closer to the situation that are far better equipped, and I'm sure the kids will be all right, you know? Obviously, Sheen can't pull anybody out, including himself, but the kid, she's gotta learn some vital life skills. She might have to learn them the hard way, but I don't know, what can you do? As for Sheenbeard, I have now written 9 parts of his saga and gone over every memory that I have of him in a relatively short period of time. When all the nonsense and irritation that was spread across several years was condensed into only a few months, it really was hard to understand how I ever put up with Sheen. Truth of the fact is, though, that the interactions that I had with him were mostly just infrequent enough that I forgot how annoying he was until the next time he came around to give me a headache. Also, his misdeeds are now clearer in hindsight. I know more and am actually a grown woman, and not a teenager stumbling her way through life. Whether Sheen is actually malicious or evil or just contagiously stupid and overall harmful is still a question that I have no definitive answer for. He clearly ends up with women who are weak, broken, or otherwise vulnerable, but I don't know for sure if he specifically targets them to manipulate them or if he just has some savior complex. Glancing at his socials, it seems he's lately been mostly involved with immigrant women. Perhaps one of them will get a green card out of him. How does Sheen make me feel nowadays? Tired. Honestly, he just makes me feel exasperated and exhausted. He is not a great nor intelligent person. I hope he's grown into at least a quarter of a decent father. Half seems optimistic. I just don't think that Sheenbeard is an individual that you generally want in your life at all. I've chosen not to chew him out one last time and will instead leave quietly and spare myself the aggravation. Goodbye, Sheenbeard. That's the right way to go. You get no more energy than what you've already taken from me. I don't want to believe that he's malicious and evil. I do want to think he has some savior complex, but I'm just not sure. A lot of the expats and, you know, people from other countries that are seeking a foreign wife are doing so for the wrong reasons, and I really don't hope that of Sheenbeard. It is heavily implied throughout the story, but for my own sake, I'm just gonna believe that that's all gonna go fine and normal. But yes, goodbye, Sheenbeard, and good fucking riddance. As for me, OP, Mora, Rain, whichever you prefer, I've changed a lot over the years chronicled in this saga. I've always turned my pain and sadness into kindness in order to endure the things that I went through. God, I love that. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You're a beautiful human being, okay? The fear of becoming someone selfish and self-centered plagued me, and I did all I could to stomp out putting my needs first. I thought that even though I couldn't make myself happy, I could make my life count for something by bringing happiness to others. Somewhat how the YouTube video making started, if I'm really thinking back. Truth be told, guys, I wasn't expecting to be here this long, but I'm glad I still am. And we're glad that you still are. After over 13 years of hard work, my depression has finally taken a turn for the better. I'm not mentioning this to flaunt my mental health around. I just hope that if someone out there's reading this, hearing this, and is going through the struggles that just don't seem to end, do not give up. It might take a really long time, even an unreasonably long time, but as long as you keep trying, there is at least a chance for improvement. Even when you're hopeless, go on. Continue anyways. I'm glad that I did. I've got my own horror story about all this. I still think my mental health isn't 100%, but yeah, compared to where we were 10 years ago, light years of difference, bro. And I'm glad things are getting better for you. Even if the dark times roll around again, hang in. You're stronger than you think that you are. When I started getting better, I took on the hard lesson of cutting some people out of my life. In the past, I had just accepted abuse and even blackmail thrown towards me on the regular, kept my mouth shut about it in order to protect the perpetrators. It was high time that I walked away from such sources of stress, pain, and fear. Of course, some did not take kindly to me wishing them calm goodbyes, and even resorted to threatening my life, causing a whole different kind of fear. I'm trying to not let that control my life and live the best way that I know how. I still dedicate time to helping people, but this time, I have a healthy boundary system in place, and so far, it has served me well. I'm surrounding myself with people who are kind and supportive, and every bit worth the effort that I want to put into reminding them of how cherished they are. One of my friends actually shipped me a box of homemade cookies last week, just because. God, I love that. That same friend is also the #1 fan of the Sheen saga, so it was nice to tell them how the power of their cookies got me through writing the first 4 pages of the finale. Hey, teamwork makes the dream work. Shouts out to Cookie Friend. Since I'm crediting people for all the nice things they've done here, I want to thank Luna, Guinevere, and Pan for being amazing influences in my life. I'll keep working hard to be the best version of myself that I want to be. Thank you also to ReddX for reading these stories on his channel and for inspiring me to start writing Neckbeard content. It's been therapeutic, and rediscovering the joy of creative writing after 15 years has been wonderful. Thank you all for reading, for listening, for accompanying me on this journey in whatever format you chose. Thank you. I still have quite a few beards to talk about, but I will have to think about what and how to write about them for a while. I don't know when I'll return with more tales, but I'm definitely planning to do so eventually. Wistfully, I bid you farewell, at least for the time being. Until we meet again, look after yourselves and each other, Mother of Rain. I am sad to see the saga go, but I think we closed the book on it rather well. Good job, OP. I will wait patiently with bated breath for your next story, but yes, do take all the time that you need. I'm sorry that this took a lot out of you. That's not my intention at all. I hope that I can give something back to you through my reading of the tale, because all the people who write sagas, they really are like the driving force behind the channel. I couldn't do it without you, and I'm completely serious. Let's go ahead and wrap up Sheenbeard Saga with a song of some sort. That's generally what we do at the end of sagas, isn't it? She told him, don't you ever come around here. Don't wanna be your girlfriend, you're a gross neckbeard. Asked her out again, but she still won't come near. So beat it, just beat it. Now you sit there, you're alone in your room. No more lady there who will make you cum. You unzip your pants, there's only one thing to do, so beat it. You need to cum bad, just beat it. Beat it. Stroke it till your seed's depleted. Show 'em how fucking strong is your nut. Wish you could put it inside her butt. Just beat it. Just beat it. Just beat it. Just beat it. Ugh. It's smelling cheesy as you nut in your sock. Maybe you could woo her if you wash your cock. But you just scoff and say that's all schlock. So beat it. Just beat it. You have to show her you're the alpha male. But playing with your balls, crying it's unfair. She ran away when you said how much you care. So beat it. You need to cum bad, so beat it. Beat it. Stroke it till your seed's depleted. Show 'em how funky strong is your nut. Wish I could dump it inside her butt. Just beat it. Beat it. Stroke it till your seed's depleted. Show 'em how funky strong is your nut. Wish you could put it inside her butt. Just beat it. Beautifully done. Most wonderful. Tip of the hat, not a fedora to user Ramtide as always. User Mother of Rain. Thank you guys so much for coming together, creating a beautiful saga. We've made some beautiful music together, haven't we? And I just appreciate you guys being here, supporting the channel like you do. Come on back, see what's next. It's gonna be crazy. Probably. Thank you once again for watching. I hope you like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought. Maybe share the video around, the playlist around, the first part around, something like that. Thank you so much in advance. I have many social medias. If you'd like to follow me on one of those, you are most welcome to do so. We've also got my Patreon patrons, my YouTube channel members. If you'd like to join them, that's huge. If you can't, that's no sweat. Just come on back, check out what we're doing tomorrow. Keep yourself safe, wash your hands, and always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.